on unsustainable frameworks and accelerating initiatives to become self-reliant in vaccine production. A fundamental value of Pan-African solidarity is that no one is free until all people are free. In vaccine production and supply terms, no one is safe until everyone is safe.
With the exceptional support of the Kenyan government and our research and development collaborators, we're now preparing to establish IVI's country office in Nairobi, which will host an initiative called Advancing Vaccine End-to-End Capabilities in Africa, or AVEC Africa, together with other local, regional, and international organizations with proud collaboration with Africa CDC.
Despite coast governors and MPs saying they will not hold talks with Agriculture CS Mithika Linturi over the ban on Muga, the CS is set to proceed with the meeting with available stakeholders today. Attorney General Justin Muturi on his part says he has not been asked to give legal advice on the ban and its effects, but has however announced his support for Embu Governor Cecilia Mbarire's efforts to push for the ban to be lifted in the coast region.
I want to commend our government and the leadership for the stand that they're taking. I agree with the stand taken by the leadership of the country led by our government,
Mheshimiwa Linturi ametuita Thursday. Sisi viongozi wa kaunti ambazo zinakuza Miraa na Muga na wale ambao wanaleta shida huko coast. Mimi nataka kusema tuko tayari kuja hapo na tutakuja kama tumejitayarisha na evidence yetu.
Embu leaders have further insisted that Muga is a cash crop, adding that coastal leaders should instead set laws to fight drug abuse instead of banning Muga.
Ile ambayo inaharibu watoto wa Mombasa na coast ni kwamba wanakula Muga na wanaongeza cocaine na heroin. Mimi nataka kuuliza Gavana Nasir, tafadhali wacha kupinga watu wetu wakikuja huko. There is a court order. Tulipatiwa court order last week ambayo imetupatia mwezi mmoja ndio tuwe tumeongea kule kotini na the status quo must remain.
That's the news wire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
It's critical that people pay taxes, but then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
Now, I'm just naming politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption.
Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's petty, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic that you cannot be able to change a nation.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning and welcome to Thursday. Most of your streets not having too much of an issue at all. You're going to be able to get in and out of the city very easily. Coming off of Thika Superhighway, very little traffic just there at that Allsop stage as you're heading into the CBD. And then as you get towards the Pangani underpass, to be expected, there's some traffic there. Getting through towards Muranga Road or Wangari Maathai Way, not a problem here at all. Limuru Road for now looks good. We know that's going to pack up later. Kangunda Road is also starting to get onto it with some traffic, and Outer Ring just past the railway stop at Pipeline. There's some traffic there, but I think we'll be all right, at least for now. We're just getting into it this Thursday. Let's see what happens as Thursday opens up, and we'll talk on SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Lafiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
How are you, my friend?
My friend, how do you do, my friend? I know sometimes it be like say nobody get you. That's why I say I did for you,
my friend.
I did for you,
my friend.
Hey.
Atina limbo your limbo.
What's his name? I keep forgetting his name.
These Nigerian boys. But they're doing very good songs.
Yes,
very, very good music. Very good music. They're doing very good music. So, Mambo ikoje?
Fine, thank you. Good morning.
I am good morning.
You're good morning?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So fine, thank you to you.
Somebody is being silly.
Somebody.
You drive a BMW. What's a full meaning? What's the meaning? The full meaning of BMW?
Be my wife.
Bishop Margaret Wajiro.
In Nigeria, they say be my wife.
Be my wife. So, CT is away, and this time he's away because of a bereavement. Unfortunately, he's traveling to Marsabit County. We wish them all the best as they travel to Marsabit County for the burial of a relative.
Yeah.
Condolences to the Mugas. Yeah. So sasa leo ni mimi na wewe. Ile mambo yote umekuwa ukijificha hapa nyuma ya CT. Leo.
Lazima itoke.
Leo. Hayuko.
Johnny Drill. Thank you.
Johnny Drill is a singer?
Yes.
Lakini hata so aliona Johnny Gill nini akaona Johnny Drill. How about dr?
Instead of E.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's Thursday. It's the 6th of the 6th of 2024.
Yep.
Mambo iko aje namna hiyo? Mambo iko very good.
Iko very good.
Okay.
Niambie.
6 plus 6 is 12.
It is.
12 times 2
is 24.
Bas.
That's the connection.
Hapo ndio hiyo.
You were looking for something.
I was saying there's something that is, there's a connection here in these numbers. 6, 24. Right.
And 24 divided by 6 is 4.
Yes.
I don't know where that comes in, but all right.
Iko hapo tu mahali. Iko mahali. Okay. So we'll have a Justice Thursday conversation today. And that conversation will center around enhancing collaboration in the fight against corruption. We'll be joined by Paula Atukunda. She is the convener of the Anti-Corruption Bar Bench Committee.
Good grief. Okay.
Yeah?
Where?
The Anti-Corruption Bar Bench Committee. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You know what that means?
No.
That means, ndio kusaidia bar. Okay?
Bar ile ya court.
Sasa tujui atatuambia ni bar gani. Wale watu wamekalia bench pale kwa bar. Yeye ndio anawaconvene.
Bar is lawyers, bench is judges.
Anawaserve. Yeah, kusaidia bar.
Literally.
And the other people who are sitting on the bench on their side and serve. Wow. So yeah, anyway, so she's a convener of the Bar Bench Committee. Of course, it's the advocates and the judicial officers. The Honorable Zipporah Geshana is the magistrate in the Anti-Corruption Court, Milimani. She's been here before, she'll be here again. So we'll talk about how all these players are coordinating in the fight against corruption. Okay? From the judiciary's perspective. Sawa. That is at 7 a.m. And then at 8 o'clock, we'll look at... so President William Ruto went to America, and Kenya marked 60 years of diplomatic relations with the United States of America. And before that trip, about a couple of weeks before the trip, there was the 2024 American Chamber of Commerce Business Summit in Nairobi, which brought together very many people. Now, to look at the whole interconnection between business, investments, American companies, Kenyan companies, maybe US, right? And all these diplomatic relations, we'll be joined by Maxwell Okoh at 8 a.m. Maxwell is the CEO of the American Chamber of Commerce Kenya chapter.
That name sounds so familiar.
Maxwell Okoh.
No, it's Okoh Max.
Ednah, put a song for Okoh Max when Maxwell comes here at 8. When Maxwell lands at 8 like this, the first welcoming song, Okoh Max.
Nakufa. Nakufa bwana.
But that's a nice one. Sasa si tupatie mambo ya weather tafadhali.
Ni sawa sawa.
Okay. At 18 minutes after 6, the live streams are up on YouTube and Facebook and other digital platforms, including we are starting TikTok later today. Yeah, from today you'll also be following us on TikTok live. And X, Ednah, why doesn't Gideon do X? Atatuambia pia. Yeah, Gideon doesn't like anything that goes with X. Reminds him very
it reminds me of X.
Reminds him very many bad things. 18 minutes after 6.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi is 15 degrees. We'll see highs of 23 and lows of 14. 13 will be the low in a partly cloudy Nakuru, going to highs of 25, and we'll see highs of 24 in a cloudy Nyeri at 16, down to lows of 15. Eldoret is clear at 14 with highs of 25, and we're looking into a clear Mombasa at 24 with highs of 31. We'll see highs of 31 as well in a mostly clear Malindi this morning, coming down to lows of 26. Kisumu is clear at 20 with highs of 29, and Kakamega at 17 is partly cloudy with highs of 29 this morning. And into Kampala, it's cloudy at 20 with highs of 29, while Dar es Salaam is clear at 25. We'll see highs of 31 and lows of 24. Johannesburg is clear at 8, highs of 21 and lows of 2, while at 26 it'll be a sunny morning in Mogadishu with highs of 32. 26 will be the high in a mostly sunny Addis Ababa, currently at 14, and Lagos at 27 is cloudy with highs of 31. Kinshasa is clear at 22, highs of 32 today. And we're looking into a Thursday afternoon that's sunny in Beijing, highs of 31 and lows of 21. And into Paris, it's 10 degrees and cloudy this morning, highs of 20, and we'll see highs of 17 in a cloudy London at 11. We'll round things off in New York when Wednesday night is cloudy at 21. Coming into Thursday, we'll see highs of 26 and lows of 20.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Who's online?
Everybody, it would appear. Good morning to you all, says Desmond Ortiz. Everybody there is fine this morning. Okay. Ndu, pass the morning greetings to Ednah. Ednah, greetings here. I've passed them to you. Ednah has waved at you in that signature Ednah way. Tano Teka says, good morning from Rochester in Minnesota. Joel Odondi says, Kansas is ably represented. I'm hoping for a great show this morning. Well, let's see what we can do, man. Evans Ntabo says, Nyaboke Wakire se mambo moto. Kenneth Bushnell says, good morning. 1 teaspoonful of groundnuts is 15 shillings. Where?
1 teaspoon full of groundnuts.
Do you know the size of a teaspoon? How can it be 15 shillings? Where is this that they're cheating you? Do tell. Agri Momanyu says, good morning. Is the government hiding something about Shakahola? I don't know. In the first day of the 5th phase of the exhumations, they found 7 bodies. And they had earmarked 50 graves already. They had already earmarked 50 graves in phase 5. Who knows what they'll find in those graves? But 7 bodies were already found the first day. Let's see. Peter Kiaria says, stay calm in every situation, be the leader. Thank you very much. Carol Nyambura loves us. We love you too, Carol. Good morning, Spice team. Tuned in from Arizona, waiting for the hot topic. Have a blessed Thursday. And Goa, beautiful lady, good morning to you. Can you invite Ruben Kigame, says Tibbs. Yes, we can. Okay. Jimmy Gakio says, good morning. Happy birthday to myself. Well, happy birthday, Jimmy. Hello. You're tuned in this morning from Fulda in Germany. Happy birthday, Jimmy. Dr. Venvik says, good morning from Tudor. Robert Mbogo is tuning from Mombasa. Chris Amoy says, have a wonderful day ahead. Hello, Princess Ndu. Good morning, Leo. Just like hot tax, the motor vehicle tax has different meanings and what it will achieve depending on who you ask. This is true. Milton Awiti says, good morning. Tuning in from Michigan. James Mokabana says, good morning. So many things, Masomo, Afia, finance bill, Shakahola, demolitions,
Mambo yote
Amatuonge, Kuhusu, what. So much is going on in the country. Felix Tietse says, good morning, people. Good morning to you. George Okoh is tuned in this morning. You just attended the African Korean President Summit. You did? Oh, okay. God bless Africa, indeed. Mugula is listening from inside the blanket. Well, that's always a good place to be, is it not? Good morning, Ndu City Lafiff. Invite Kuria Kimani to tell us if they're still coming for non-existent belts. Okay. Dennis Ndine says, good morning. The government should stop pushing us to the corner. We don't want the corner. Push us somewhere else. Mao Witi says, Laura, you're locked this morning. You guys rock. Eric, you rock. Imagine.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
A hard place. You're
It's a
rock.
good thing.
It's a good thing.
All right.
Job Otieno says, Ndu, it's my birthday. Please sing for me. Well, who am I not to?
Please.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Job. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Job. Alex Vundi is tuned in from Nkoroi, Oloika. Oloika. Okay. Karanja and Jehia says, good mornings. Never understood that. It's such a Kenyan thing.
Good mornings.
Yeah, like you pluralize the greeting. I found that so strange when I came here. But
hellos.
Good mornings. Good mornings. Good nights. No. Our fact said Makori says, good morning, hope you have a fruitful day. Joseph Ontigi is tuning in this morning. Everybody's here. Willis Kitala, Jimmy Gakio, Moses Wabogo. Good morning. Alvin Obambo, Alicia Morano, and Kim, good morning. Can we have another show like this one in the evening hours? Well,
yeah, we can. Just find it on YouTube.
Touche. Good morning, everybody. Karibuni sana.
Yes. The proverbs for this week, as CT told us, they are from the Republic of
the Gambia.
Bas. Today's proverb, me, I don't get it.
Okay.
I don't get it. He who sleeps on a borrowed mat is sleeping on a very cold ground. He who sleeps on a borrowed mat is sleeping on a very cold ground.
Hey? Because yours brings warmth, and yours brings warmth. The one that belongs to somebody else is going to have to give it back at some point. You're living on borrowed time? I don't know. I'm going to have to take a minute to think about it.
Ednah has a Swahili version.
Okay.
And it makes sense, but no, we're not going to say it.
Why?
Sindio tusikie guest wakisema.
Sasa utasema mwisho?
Yeah, tutaambia Ednah kuja hapa aseme mwisho.
Okay.
Mwisho. Haya, headlines.
Oh, yes. It's a very interesting day, I must tell you. Ruto takes over Raila's AU job bid. That's
so now Ruto wants to be the AU chairman.
He wants to
what
be
does
the
that mean?
Cheerleader of
Ruto
this
takes
league.
over Raila's AU job bid. What does that mean?
He takes over the bid. Yani,
that
move
he
aside.
wants to be the one who...
No, he wants to bid for you properly. You get, you people have been playing since. Now let me show you. Let me show you what it's
also
like.
Mean that now Ruto wants to be the AU chairman.
No, that's a bit difficult. He's got a whole country to run at the moment. So let me explain. President William Ruto and Raila Odinga are leaving nothing to chance in the quest for the African Union Communion.
African Union Commission
chairmanship, with the government taking charge. Even as opposition chief discloses they have agreed to cut bureaucracy and unveil a well-oiled joint drive. Yani tunakuja pamoja. Bora?
Mwaga pesa. This is all they're saying.
Mwaga pesa. Tunakuja pamoja. Kufanya hii kazi lazima ifanywe. All right, World Bank now faults Treasury tax plan. Really, the World Bank needs to really decide what they want, and they target. They're saying, come on, guys, this is too much. Even them. Really, World Bank. State's new push to curb counterfeits. Let's see what that looks like. Kibaki friend's sons knew of his other daughter. Now, why are we going back inside this thing now? Why state wants court to give nod to GMOs? We're back into that conversation. President Ruto is determined to push for the adoption of genetically modified organisms and asks the court to throw out 4 petitions and adopt a decision that approved BT maize. How Modi's party lost the majority. Things are interesting in India. And looking into the sports world, more doping sanctions are on the way. That is not a pretty headline to look into in terms of sports. You have to look and say, okay, guys. Now, the UN is calling for a ban on oil, gas, and coal adverts. You can do what you need to do, but don't advertise it.
Don't advertise what? Oil, gas, and coal.
Because, it's got some kind of detriment to environment and things like that. And you know what the UN is all about, the environment.
What does that mean?
So you can
now Kina Ratal stops advertising.
Yeah, don't advertise. That's what they want. Because I don't know that it's going to make a difference, because you don't really need to advertise fuel. You want to put it in your car. You're not going to buy this fuel over the other fuel because they advertise better or that they advertise at all. It is a need. You put in your vehicle, you go.
No, there are people who buy because of the adverts.
No, I'm saying as in not one brand over the other or what it can do, but by nature of the fact that you need fuel to move your vehicle, you're going to buy fuel anyway, whether there's an ad or not. It's not like a luxury good like a watch.
Or cigarettes.
Or beer or wine. You don't have to have wine to move from point A to point B. Well, okay, some people do, but hey, what I'm saying is it's a need. Coal runs industry. So does oil, so does gas. It runs economies. But what they're saying is that there's detriment to the environment. And so, use it, but don't splash it all over the place.
Okay.
A majority leader of the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah, says that it is not in order to revise budgets.
It is not in order to revise budgets. What does that mean? It is not in order to revise budgets.
He is talking about the Treasury over continuous backtracking of the government agenda through introduction of many supplementary budgets. To Parliament.
Now he says that after he's presented the supplementary budget.
The supplementary budget.
Can you imagine the supplementary budget for this financial year, which is ending in the next 24 days, is before Parliament now?
No.
Of course, what it means is that they are going to regularize some illegal spending that has happened. That's what it means. So they have spent money using Article 224 on emergency. Because right now, surely you can't be going to Parliament to say, allow us to spend money for this and the other in 20 days.
Imagine. Give us the money. Unless it's already been spent.
It's already been spent. That's the thing.
Yes.
You're just saying, let's regularize this. This is what happened.
So we can have it down on paper, essentially, is what we're saying here.
To put remember a nation.
It's pretty messy. Ryla, I'm not anyone's project. Yeah, right. Okay, sorry. The AUC bid is what.
Why is he always so concerned about being? He told us this in 2022. He's telling us now. Why is it? Why? Why do you have to respond to this if you're actually not anyone's project?
So I keep saying, a lion doesn't have to tell anybody that it's a lion. A hyena doesn't have to tell anybody that it's a hyena.
In the 2022 elections, Raila told us he is not Uhuru's project. Now he's telling us he's not anyone's project. Surely.
Okay, Sawa Bas. He said that he's on anybody's project. It's all systems go after the government yesterday officially unveiled the roadmap for former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's and Kenya's candidacy in the forthcoming election of the next chairperson of the African Union Commission. So there was a joint press briefing yesterday between PS's Musalia Mudavadi. Opposition leader said he was ready for the continental task ahead. Let's see what that looks like. Kenya is set to host the 2024 Kiswahili Day. Preparations in top gear, says Jumwa. You know who Jumwa is? Yes.
Who?
She's a cabinet secretary.
Oh, that Jumwa.
That Jumwa.
Okay.
Okay. So
she's a CS in charge of culture, so
yes, she is.
Comes in
under her.
All right.
So we also see that there's a relief as the state releases 1.2 billion shillings worth of vaccines. Finally, that has happened. Children's vaccines. There was a problem here where enough vaccines were not available for the children who needed them. The big one was BCG. BCG, a child gets on the day they are born. And it's detrimental because you don't get it, then the chances of a child getting diphtheria and meningitis then are very high. But there have been issues, and also tetanus, measles, rubella, those ones. So there have been issues concerning this, but now the state has released. It was interesting to see that the Ministry of Health said, after media reports, did they not know before that there was a shortage? There's a story here of a doctor by day and a DJ by night.
Same person?
Yeah, a children's doctor, no less, pediatrician. By day, Dr. Elizabeth Kuta. She's not your ordinary medic. I love to see things like that. Yeah.
Okay. Let me tell you what's in the Business Daily. Parastatal reforms split the Public Service Commission and State House teams. The PSC has told off the Executive Office of the President over new guidelines on the management of parastatals, pointing to a simmering struggle over control of the state-owned entities that manage billions of shillings. PSC Chairperson Anthony Mushiri has termed Executive Order Number 3 of 2024 on guidelines for the management of state corporations as illegal and unconstitutional for excluding the Commission from their formulation. The executive order, gazetted by President Ruto on May 24th, provides for, among other things, terms and conditions of service for boards and human resource management of state corporations. Now, Ruto has directed that the new guidelines shall and do supersede the guidelines issued in November 2004. State House Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service Felix Koskei launched the guidelines on Tuesday at Bomas at a meeting attended by chairpersons and CEOs of state corporations, vice chancellors of public universities and other government agencies. But the Business Daily has established that the Public Service Commission Chairman Mr. Mushiri had warned Koskei against rolling out the guidelines, insisting that state corporations and public universities were part of public service and that their management is constitutionally under the public service. Wewe unakuja hapo unasema you are head of public service. In fact, that issue, those two offices have been at loggerheads. Even in the omnibus bill that was passed in Parliament, the one that said it's okay for us to have CASs,
yeah.
Those ones.
Yeah.
You remember it was trying to do something to regularize the office of the chief head of public service. The Public Service Commission had written and said, head of public service means what?
What is that? What do you do?
The CEO of the Public Service Commission could be the head of public service. The chairman of the public service could be the head of... This head of public service, which job is this? Where is it in the Constitution? Where?
It almost sounds like the president's PA.
You are chief of staff in State House, fine. But head of public service? We have a Public Service Commission. It's like, can you imagine if someone now was called head of teachers?
And you have a CEO
and you have a
of
Teacher Service
TSC.
Commission. Yeah. So anyway, those are the issues. Now, this executive order, let's control parastatals. The guys like, loan defaults hit 18-year high on soaring interest rates. Kenyans had defaulted on more than 630 billion shilling worth of loans in April this year, the highest level in 18 years, as borrowers reacted to high interest rate regime that has stifled the ability of millions to make timely repayments. Can you imagine? 630 billion shillings in loan defaults.
Good Lord. In over 18 years?
This is
Or are we saying this is the 18th year?
By April 2024. This is the highest in 18 years.
Oh my God. But what does that mean though?
Is the interest on bank? No, we're changing. People are just not being able to pay. Tika headlines: rural folk getting rich faster than city residents. Kenyans living in rural areas are getting rich faster than millions of their counterparts who have migrated to cities, in a trend that is redefining wealth creation in the country. Wanauza nini huko ushago? Ala.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Businesses are flourishing.
Oh, Uber, Bolt warn of Kenya exit on Treasury tax plan. Bolt and Uber have warned that they would be forced to close their operations in Kenya if Parliament approves a 6% significant economic presence tax on gross turnover for non-resident firms. There's a tax being introduced called significant economic presence tax.
My God.
You're a company. You're not Kenyan-based. Now you're operating in Kenya.
Your presence.
You pay significant economic presence.
Your presence is being taxed. I swear, it's hilarious. Actually, it's not almost humorous. It's hilarious. By virtue of the fact that you're not Kenyan and you're here, your presence.
That's exactly. So we leave, Basi.
It's like saying go.
Yeah.
You might as well just tell me to go.
Yeah.
What is that?
China Square. They started on Thika Road near KU.
Now
they went to Karen. Now they have leased a branch owned by Uchumi Supermarkets on Nairobi's Langata Road. You know that Langata Hyper?
Yes, it's become a thing.
Yeah, now it's China Square. 600 million shillings invested there.
They've opened? Okay.
Posta sacks 29 staff over fake certificates. 29 staffers who were found to have forged academic documents to secure jobs at the state corporation have been told, my friends,
come and be going.
My friends, ndio ile mlango pale. The Star, top right-hand corner. What color is this usually?
Teal green.
Teal green. Okay. Austerity. Lawmakers slash DP Rigathi Gachagwa's budget by 500 million shillings. Guy, sasa atakula nini? Hey. $500 million shillings slashed from your budget. Can you imagine? How painful can that be? $500 million shillings. Surely. And we're calling that austerity. Why Kenyan men decide against cut? A growing number of men aged 25 to 39 may have decided against circumcision, and no amount of persuasion appears to change their stance, according to a new study. While they gave researchers the main reasons for not taking up the cut, which is highly beneficial in preventing HIV, the men kept changing goalposts once their concerns were addressed. They keep saying, it's because they're told, no, this one is lakini pia they're told, no. Mr. The bottom line is, I don't want Mr. More university land leased irregularly. MPs yesterday put to task Moi University Vice Chancellor Professor Isaac Kosgei over what they termed as irregular lease of half of the institution's land to a private investor. The VC was at pains to explain how 1,500 acres out of the 3,000 acres belonging to the university in Eldoret found itself in private hands. The unnamed developer has not paid a cent to the university for this land. Bang in the middle of the paper. Inside public universities' cash distress. Debts have overrun assets by about 43 billion shillings. They had not paid suppliers for goods and services totaling 13 billion shillings. Balance sheet universities in a car heavy.
No balance.
Heavy.
My goodness.
Imagine. Tell us about traffic stuff, Ali. 20 to 7.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, so saw traffic starting to build up on Jogoro this morning, getting towards Landis, but nothing crazy. So between the Haile Selassie Junction and then moving out towards University Way, that junction, there's some traffic starting to build. And also on the Thika Superhighway, significant increment. Then from the Allsops Junction out towards Muranga Road. Very busy on Kangundu Road this morning, and there's traffic that's starting to pile in certain areas as you get out towards Outer Ring. And then also looking in onto Wayaki, we're coming into the city, that's busy, and it's also busy as we come in from Ngong Road this morning. All right, so that's where it's starting to build here and there. Shouldn't be too crazy as we go forward. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay. So let's just look at this AU bid thing once and for all, right? And see what's happening now that the president has decided. I'm going to help you guys because it seems that you guys need it. It's on page 4 of the Standard, and looking into what happened yesterday, we saw the supposed unveiling and the press briefing that took place. Ruto fine-tunes machinery to lead Raila's campaign for the AU top job. President William Ruto, his administration is putting final touches on a secretariat to drive Raila Odinga's campaign for the African Union Commission chairmanship. Raila and Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, who met in Nairobi yesterday to review the progress made, expressed confidence in clinching the seat during the election to be conducted at the AU headquarters in Ethiopia in February next year. The leaders say that they are not taking anything to chance. The campaigns are led by the state with highly experienced and knowledgeable officers, with the State Department for Foreign Affairs having established a campaign secretariat which includes the candidate's strategy team. This is according to Mudavadi. He said the secretariat would prepare all the briefs for use by Raila and develop campaign materials. The secretariat will also prepare for a public debate to be broadcast live 6 months before the election dates.
Public debate between who?
Who and who?
So Raila's team is organizing a public debate with the other candidates. With. All right.
Reports indicate that the Secretariat's composition could be completed in the next 2 weeks, after which a budget, of course, will be drawn. The team will comprise individuals appointed by Raila and officials from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mudavadi said the campaign team is currently firming up preparations and application documents together with requisite translations of Raila's resume into 6 AU languages: en français, English, Kiswahili, Arabic, Portuguese, and Spanish, ready for submission to the Secretariat by the end of the month. So, everything is being done.
So only candidates from the East African region are eligible for the AUC chairperson. This is according to the new rules of rotation. After rigorous vetting, they'll then debate each other at a public televised forum where they'll field questions from the public. Raila will face Seychelles' former Vice President Vincent Meriton, Djibouti's Minister of Foreign Affairs Mahmoud Yusuf, and former Somalia Foreign Minister Fawzia Yusuf in the February poll. Yesterday, while fielding questions, remember Musalia met with Raila. He said, "We are focusing on a Kenyan candidacy. Other countries, shauri yao." Our president has made several strides in talking to his counterparts across Africa, and all that will count for something in the next few months. So they have unveiled their team. Last month, President Ruto picked former Kenyan ambassador to the US, Lazarus Amayo, as the special envoy of the African Union champion for institution reforms. Remember, Ruto is the African Union champion for institution reforms. So Lazarus Amayo, Ambassador Amayo, is his special envoy. According to Head of Public Service Felix Koskei, Amayo will support the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs in steering the president's mandate as the African Union champion. Ambassador Yobesh Monari, who is the Director General of Foreign Service Administration, is said to be warming up to join the team alongside other diplomats with wide networks. This core team will be supported by a robust team of seasoned diplomats in Kenya and, very importantly, a team of advisors and influencers from the 5 regions of the AU. Okay?
who Raila's core team. Raila's core team are former Executive Secretary of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, Ambassador Mahbub Maalim. Former Kenyan Ambassador to the US, Elkanah Odembo. Ambassador Anthony Okara. Professor Makao Mutua. And former Nyeri Deputy Governor, Dr. Caroline Karogo. That's the core what? Team. The core team. That is Raila's strategy team. Then they'll be supported by now these guys from the Foreign Affairs Office. And Mudavadi said they are firming up preparations and application documents together with requisite translations of the resumes into the 6 AU languages, French, English, Kiswahili, Arabic, Portuguese, and Spanish, in readiness for submission to the AU Secretariat by the end of this month. Hizi vitu zote weka makaratasi pamoja, nini, translate, go. Send them. Now tell the other guys, you, Djibouti, Seychelles, Somali, come. Let's debate. Yeah. And the debate will be on TV. I don't know whether it will be.
Will it domicile? Who knows?
I don't know. Let me tell you this story about Uber and Bolt.
Okay.
Digital ride-hailing platforms Bolt and Uber have warned that they would be forced to close down their operations in Kenya if Parliament approves proposals to impose a 6% tax on gross turnover for non-resident firms. Gross turnover. Okay? All the money that you've collected, yote, imeweka, before you start touching anything,
give us
6% of it. Turnover. Not Bolt and Uber separately told the Nairobi National Assembly's Finance and Planning Committee that imposing the significant economic presence tax will likely lead to collapse of the industry because of losses or low margins. The National Treasury is seeking to impose the SEP, which shall be payable by a non-resident person whose income from the provision of services is derived from or accrues in Kenya through a business carried out over a digital marketplace. Umeelewa? You are running a business over a digital marketplace, and that business has derived some income in Kenya. You pay this tax.
You pay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The bill seeks to remove the digital services tax, which is currently charged at the rate of 1.5%, and replace it with a SEP, which will be at 6%. The digital services tax already they were complaining.
Yes.
Now you have said, what, 1.5% is too much, eh? Bring 6.
Add 6. Add 6.
No, bring 6. They are scrapping the 1.5
okay, so 1.5
and replacing it with the 6.
Okay.
By introducing the 6% significant economic presence tax, the effective tax rate for a non-resident in the digital marketplace will be 22% on gross turnover, without taking into consideration the operating costs. Bolt Public Policy Manager George Abasi said, SEP tax at 6% will likely lead to collapse of the industry due to losses or low margins. Non-resident companies currently pay VAT at a rate of 16%, with no opportunity to deduct input VAT. Pay VAT, can deduct input VAT. They also pay 1.5% digital services tax, giving an effective tax rate of 17.5% currently on gross turnover, and not profit. Bolt Africa tax manager Celia Kuria told the committee that is chaired by Kuria Kimani that SCP as a tax on gross turnover is comparable to turnover tax, which is currently charged at 3%. This shows a significant disparity and disproportionate disfavor to non-resident entities. Yeah, those ones in Kenya that we are not able to calculate your income tax, blah, 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 blah. They are told, pay what? Turnover tax. Turnover tax is at 3% of your gross turnover. Now you're being told you're a foreigner, you're operating in Kenya, you're making money, gross 6%. And that's it. On gross. Now this is just money has come in. It doesn't matter whether all that money is basically you've made a loss. It doesn't matter. As long as it is a payment that you have received, you give me 6% of it. Then now you can start deducting your costs. Oh, linunua mafuta. Oh, no, okay, this one's on mafuta. Oh, umelipa a license here.
Yes, first,
then you can do all those other things. Imagine. Me, I don't know. This tax thing. Hey, everybody is complaining, as in everywhere. From all corners. And if you listen to them, they are legitimate concerns. They're saying if you do this at this particular rate, this is too high. It's going to have an impact.
We're going to suffer.
Everybody, manufacturers are saying this, brewers are saying this. On Tuesday, on Transform Kenya on KTN, we spoke to the MD of East Africa Packaging Industries, right? This guy has closed a business in Mombasa this year because of taxation. Now, they are bringing in these taxes. So last year, the paper that they used to make packaging, right? Remember the one that Donnie was telling us?
Yes.
For tea, the bulk ones for tea. This guy makes those cartons that are used to pack Del Monte, fruits, pineapples. They need to go to other countries.
Yeah.
He says he took over 8 years just to try and convince Del Monte, I can do it here. And all I need is I can source the paper that's needed to make this carton because it's a specific paper, and that specific paper is not made anywhere in Africa.
Else.
It comes from a specific place in Asia. He can import it here. He can make the cartons here. He got the contract. Someone went to Treasury last year and told Treasury, your paper we can make here, impose tax on that raw material. So a tax was imposed on the raw material, which made these cartons more expensive. So Del Monte was like, boss,
now
I can get this carton elsewhere. I can get the finished carton elsewhere, and it will still be cheaper than what you're selling me.
Loss.
Yep. Now they have introduced eco levy, which will now make it even more expensive to produce this carton.
I continue to ask that those who are in an advisory role, who serve in an advisory capacity, when it comes to the introduction of these new taxes and levies, do they not dance in tune with what is currently happening? Or is it doesn't matter, we must collect at whatever we have to collect, and so therefore, so long as you breathe or you step, we will tax anything that has anything to do with you. Because that's surely what it looks like. Whereby we know that it has never happened anywhere in the world. You can never tax your way into development. It doesn't happen. You can't. You can't.
It's just crazy. It is crazy.
I'm telling you, soon they'll decide that there are too many people in the city center, and if you want to go into the city center, there's a certain tax that you have to pay. But like, don't go and breathe our air in the city center and pack up everywhere because you're going to town. Because that's how bad it looks right now.
It is madness.
Yeah.
It is totally crazy.
Goodness gracious.
Because if you look at all these things and you ask yourself, everybody's asking, so we had a conversation with the Treasury, and a draft came out and it looked, okay, this is palatable. Then the next thing, what is actually published, it's a completely different thing. Everybody, cement manufacturers are complaining. Plastic manufacturers are complaining. Packaging are complaining. Manufacturers of tires are complaining.
Airline people
are complaining. Air operators are complaining. Uber and Bolt are complaining. Farmers are everybody is saying, what on earth is going on? Everybody is complaining. On Citizen last night, they had a conversation on tax, right? And there was a deputy director from KRA. And my friend, you will see it across all social media today from yesterday. He was attempting to explain the motor vehicle circulation tax.
It was difficult for him. It was very, very difficult.
And he was putting, the way he put it, his slant of the conversation was, one way of widening the tax base is by nabbing those who are not paying income tax. Okay? So, people, not everybody who drives is on formal employment. So those people who are not formally employed and they have a vehicle, one very nice way of catching them is using the vehicle. Because they've registered the vehicle, they have to insure the vehicle for you to be on the road. So you have a very nice way of catching them. Now he was asked, but then people who drive vehicles include those who are employed and those who are not employed. How do you distinguish? Are you now saying that you're double taxing income tax on those who are formally employed? Those who pay as you earn, and then they pay motor vehicle circulation tax, you're double taxing them on income.
On income?
And I was like, this is the mistake of sending an implementer to explain a tax he did not impose. Because this thing clearly, you cannot tell who the owner of some of these provisions are.
No.
Kuria Kimani tries to explain it. He's explaining it. He's not the author of it. He should not be explaining the tax bill. He shouldn't. That's not his job. KRA should not be explaining it if they are not aware. The National Treasury should be the ones who are explaining it, and David Dee's team in State House, the President's economic advisors. Those two are the only ones who should be coming to say, we have introduced this SEP, the Significant Economic Presence Tax, because of this, and this. There may be some very legitimate reasons, by the way. They may give you that argument and you say, okay, all right, so it makes sense. And how will you mitigate the effect of this? And they can tell you this effect here, we can see it, but it will be mitigated by this, and other measures. And then you're like, okay, so net on net, there's a benefit somewhere. But short of that, you just don't get it. And the Treasury is quiet. Why would the Treasury send KRA to an interview?
Oh my God.
Why? Why would you tell KRA, go and explain this motor vehicle tax? And the guy is like, it's income, not everybody pays income. Did you see MP Rogo on the same motor vehicle circulation? all cars are for income.
For income. And what's the assumption? That just because you're driving a vehicle, then that means
it's an income.
It's an income.
You're rich.
How do you know? Stop it. Let me take you to Shakahola for a minute.
Please do.
Okay?
Yes.
At least 397 bodies of Shakahola massacre victims were heaped together to create space for the next phase of
heaped together means what?
Put
one on top of the other?
Yeah.
Come on. I hope that's not what we mean. Continue.
At least 397 bodies of Shakahola massacre victims were heaped together to create space for phase 5 of the exhumation. The Standard established that bodies retrieved from shallow graves in the first 4 phases in Kilifi have been piled in one container mortuary. Sources said the decomposed bodies have shrunk to fit. In a 40-foot container with a capacity of 30 bodies, are you hearing me? They have now put in 397. It's supposed
in
to
a
carry
40-foot container
with a capacity of 30 bodies. 397 bodies have shrunk essentially to fit in this same container.
Well, they're decomposed.
They're decomposed still. The 17 retrieved in phase 5 that started on Monday are skeletons. Detectives,
of course, there has been no burial on this land for over a year.
Exactly.
If police have actually been doing their job of cordoning off these areas,
so they decompose. What do you expect?
So you're exhuming skeletons.
Yes.
And then you don't even have the capacity to identify those that came out with full bodies. You can see all teeth, mouth, nose. You have not been able to identify those. You'll identify skeletons.
Yes.
He is stinking to the high heaven.
I'm telling you, it's madness.
Shakahola.
Detectives said 3 more bodies were exhumed yesterday, bringing the total number of deaths from the cult to 446. The bodies are preserved in 2 mobile mortuaries outside Malindi Sub-County Hospital. But now, it gets worse. It gets worse. Power supply to the mobile mortuary was disconnected following complaints from Kilifi Governor Gideon Mungaro, who protested the high cost of electricity and threatened to transport the bodies to the Kenyatta National Hospital. Yesterday, it was established that they're using gas to preserve the decomposed bodies. Most of the remains are still in black body bags marked with numbers and minimal details written in black pen. The poor state of the preservation site has raised questions about why the state continues exhuming bodies. In April, families appealed for help to bury their kin who perished in the forest. Some families interviewed are reluctant to collect the bodies of their identified loved ones from the morgue.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Shakahola is just one pain.
Oh my God.
One long pain. Over 600 people have been reported missing.
Yeah.
And they are likely to be in Shakahola.
There are 397 that have been crammed into a 40-foot container and they're yet to be identified. Nobody knows who they are. And you don't even...
And this is an operation that's taken over a year. This is just... It's this one. 7 a.m. news time.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. The government of Kenya has created a campaign secretariat to work with political premier Raila Odinga to cement his bid for the African Union Commission chairperson. Speaking at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs headquarters in Nairobi, CS Musalia Mudavadi said that they have held a consultative meeting with Odinga and his team to touch base on the levels of preparation for the AU's planned job.
On this, we have a visionary leader to fire up the African Union to greater levels. The Right Honorable Raila is a Pan-Africanist who naturally espouses the Think Africa above all guiding principle of the AU Commission. We have no doubt the candidate will pursue excellence in line with the continent's collective aspirations of the Africa we want in 2063.
On his part, Odinga welcomed the government's offer, noting that he is willing to work closely with the respective teams to help him achieve his monumental quest.
I thank Kenyans and the government for the support and the promise to keep updating the country on the status of the race. What Kenya is going to get is according to what the rest of Africa is going to get. If you improve matters in Africa, Kenya becomes a beneficiary.
So far, Odinga has secured endorsements from 9 heads of state, among them Kenya's William Ruto, Paul Kagame of Rwanda, Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, Mama Suluhu Samia of Tanzania, Salva Kiir, Cyril Ramaphosa, among others. Odinga will have to take the ring against Djibouti's Foreign Affairs Minister Mahmoud Yusuf and Somalia's former Deputy Prime Minister and current member of the Federal Parliament, Fawzia Yusuf. Parents have allayed fears of their children contracting diseases due to failure of being vaccinated. Vaccinations are still unavailable in public hospitals, despite the government announcing that they'd been distributed to 9 regional centers, further assuring Kenyans that the shortage has been resolved.
Chanjo ilikuwa hiyo wakati, lakini tulikuwa wawili. Tukaambiwa hatuwezi hudumiwa sisi wawili, lazima tukae karibu watu 5 ama 10. Tukaambiwa turudi kesho yake. Hiyo kesho yake ikapata nilikuwa na shughuli nimeenda. Niliporudi tena kurejesha mtoto nikapata hamna chanjo, na kutoka hiyo siku sasa sijapata chanjo. Nimekuwa na hofu kidogo, ambapo nimekuwa nikijiuliza kama hajapata itakuwa na madhara kwake, labda ama hiyo measles inaweza kuja imuumize ile zaidi.
Medical Services PS Harry Kimtai had said that the government had supplied 9 regional stores with 1.2 million doses of measles, rubella, 3 million of oral polio vaccines, 1 million doses of tetanus, diphtheria, and 3.1 million doses of BCG. This even comes as Kenya has formally joined the International Vaccine Institute as a member state.
The time has come, therefore, for Africa to actualize health sovereignty by liberating itself from dependency on unsustainable frameworks and accelerating initiatives to become self-reliant in vaccine production. A fundamental value of Pan-African solidarity is that no one is free until all people are free. In vaccine production and supply terms, no one is safe until everyone is safe.
With the exceptional support of the Kenyan government and our research and development collaborators, we're now preparing to establish IVI's country office in Nairobi, which will host an initiative called Advancing Vaccine End-to-End Capabilities in Africa, or AVEC Africa, together with other local, regional, and international organizations with proud collaboration with Africa CDC.
And finally, over 200 public health facilities in the region, including the Nakuru Level 5 hospital, risk losing their land due to lack of title deeds. According to Lands Executive John Kihagi, he says that the department has sent surveyors and other officials to recover grabbed property and secure title deeds for the facilities. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
So, a few minutes after 7 o'clock, and there's traffic in the city started to build up. Let's look at what's coming in on the Thika Superhighway. Traffic then coming all the way from Survey through towards the city this morning. Beyond that, the Allsops Junction, there's some traffic coming in from Garden City, but just to watch and see what happens as we get into traffic hour. It's busy on Kangunda Road. That started off early. And also coming off of Kiambu Road today, there's some traffic. Gong Road is starting to be busy. Let's see what happens as we go through. Limuru Road also starting at this point as well. Huru Highway had some issues here and there as you're getting in from the Nyeri Stadium roundabout. How through towards the CBD. All I'll watch and see for now. Let's see what happens as we get into traffic hour. In about half hour or so, we'll talk on SpiceFM. KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Lafiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Welcome to the second of Kenya's biggest conversation today, the 6th of June, 2024. It's Thursday, it's Justice Thursday. We always have a justice conversation every Thursday. We try as much as possible to do that. As we get into that, let's also talk about tax and payment of tax. And let's say you have tax arrears, okay? So by the end of December 2022, you were supposed to have paid some tax. You didn't. Maybe in your self-assessment you underdeclared, and then KRA came and then they did an assessment and they found, all right, so this is how much you actually owed KRA. And you've been having a conversation, or you just things happened and you didn't pay. So it attracted penalties and interest. Now because of that, your obligation now is basically just an figure. Or let's say you actually had not considered that you have any tax to pay, and then later realize, oh, no, indeed I actually needed to pay some amount of tax. Now that tax has been also attracting interest and penalties. KRA says we have a tax amnesty program going on, and it ends on the 30th of this month, so please hurry. Come, let's have a conversation. We can waive the penalties and interest so that you only remain with the principal tax, and we work out how you can pay up the principal tax. Sawa. But the tax amnesty program expires on the
30th of June. That's like in 24 days.
Imagine.
So what you need to do today, let's give you till tomorrow. Okay, maybe even Saturday. Get onto the the KRA website. It's www.kra.go.ke. You're going to go to iTax, and then there you will see the first tab of the debts and enforcement area, and then under that is the amnesty application tab. You click on that, you do all the 6 steps, you get through, you're done. Because what we want you to do is apply for the amnesty so that all the taxes and penalties are then waived for you. Then if you go to the website and you think, okay, I can't figure this out, you pick up the phone and you call this number, 0711 099 999. Somebody on the other end of the phone will say, Eric, how are you today? Are you all right? Yes. What do you need? I need to apply for the tax amnesty. They will hold your hand. They will walk you through. You will do the do. You will be done.
Very good. Very good. And you've got to hurry because the tax amnesty program expires
30th of June.
Yes. So for our Justice Thursday conversation today, let's talk about anti-corruption and the fight against corruption, and what coordination mechanisms are taking place in the fight against corruption, enhancing collaboration in the fight against corruption. The Honorable Zipporah Geshana is the Principal Magistrate in the Anti-Corruption Court in Milimani, Nairobi. Good morning, Magistrate. Your Honor. How are you?
Good morning, Eric Lafiff.
Karibu sana. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
It's been a while.
Been always a pleasure to have you.
You're always busy.
Not too busy, but
Okay.
yes, we are busy.
Karibu sana.
Yes.
Today you've come with Paula Atukunda, who is a convener of the Anti-Corruption Bar Bench Committee. Wakili, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Asante, thank you for having us.
How does it feel? Warm enough?
It's warm. It's cool, actually. It's a cool morning. So
Very good.
Yeah.
We welcome you with some good news. And you know Kenchik.
Yes,
Been in this country for a while. You know the leading branded chicken brand. in the
Sanford chips.
That statement has told you
many things
at once.
all in one.
Yes.
Sanford chips. You go there at whatever time of day.
Coming from wherever you come from.
Go there and you find the cuckoos doing like this.
Yes.
And they're Kenchik cuckoos. So Kenchik stopped doing but they still supply to all these people, and they also still supply in the retail areas. Now Kenchik have decided, we know about meat and food. How about we actually also venture into beef? So they've come up with Ken Beef by Kenchik.
Wow.
So Ken Beef by Kenchik. They have contracted farmers in Laikipia. You know, cattle in Laikipia is proper ranching, eating, grass-fed, taking, spring water, unadulterated, good air. So those cows are just
waiting to be a ribeye. Waiting to be a ribeye.
That's it. So they are slaughtered. They are brought to their processing factory in Thika, and then they cut some prime cuts, right? So Ken Beef prime cuts, well-aged, wet-aged for 21 days.
Okay.
See that ribeye you're talking about? Now think. And then they also have sausages.
Yeah.
They have bacon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They have mincemeat. They have burger patties.
Wow.
And those things.
All those.
They are called what? Those things.
Bozwords.
Or the mutura.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it, Zipporah. Those ones.
Yeah.
So when next time you're going to, a supermarket, a retail facility, and you go to the meat section and the chillers, you'll find Ken Beef by Kenchik. Buy it. Go try.
Good.
Go try. You can trust the quality of Kenchik, then you can also trust the quality of Ken Beef. So Siti is not here. He's had to travel on bereavement. He's on his way to Marsabit.
Oh no,
so sorry.
But he sends his greetings. He says, tell the ladies that I'd have loved to be there to welcome them with the day's proverb.
Yes.
And this week the proverbs are from the Gambia.
Oh. That it's a small country near the Atlantic. Banjul is the capital city.
Tell us more.
Whenever I hear of the Gambia, I remember there's a book, Roots.
Yeah.
It had a character called Kinta, Kinta Kunte. If you ever watched the movie.
Yes.
My age is beginning to show, I'm afraid. I think I'll stop there.
Wow.
Very good. Now, today's proverb. He who sleeps on a borrowed mat is sleeping on a cold, very cold ground. He who sleeps on a borrowed mat is sleeping on a cold, very cold ground. What do you think this is saying, Your Honor?
I think it's something to do with cutting your coat according to your cloth. If you're not able to fend for yourself, then you may not be able to stand up and speak for yourself when push comes to shove. It's a borrowed mat. We want it back. Please get up.
That's a nice one. You'll only get to sleep when you give it to you.
Yeah. Yep.
And we'll wake you up at whatever time.
We want it back. It's not yours.
Fend for yourself.
Yes.
Live within your means.
Live within your means.
That's a nice one. Paula, let's see you top this one.
Okay, so he who sleeps on a borrowed mat is sleeping on a very cold ground. Well, it means you can't be too comfortable in a space where you're not able to fend for yourself. You have to be able to, anytime, like Honorable said, any minute, the owner of the mat will come and demand whatever they demand, and you must be able to give, or else you won't be able to sleep. So you can't get too cozy and comfortable and get warm in there. You have to dance to the tune of the owner of the mat. Yeah.
Reminds me of some years back. Some friends were talking about their, you've just finished college, you're going to those houses, so you've got a landlord, one common meter for all of you. Ati unapiga pasi na stima ya nani?
Switch off that thing.
Zima hiyo pasi. All those kind of things. Unapika nyama na hujalipa rent.
Unakula KFC.
Na hujalipa rent. Yeah. So, Paula, please introduce us to this committee, the Anti-Corruption Bar Bench Committee.
Okay, so the Anti-Corruption Bar Bench Committee is a collaboration between the judiciary and stakeholders in the judicial system, people who benefit from the service within the Anti-Corruption Division. These are advocates, clients, institutions, several institutions. So it's a forum where we all come together to have discussions on open discussions, because it's usually a very open space. It's a space where you can come and say, Justice so-and-so, you come late to court. Justice so-and-so, I do not like the way you behave like this. Or even the court will come back with feedback and say, advocates, you file your pleadings without, let's say, contact information. And the purpose is just to create a synergy between all the stakeholders and all the players to improve the service delivery within the judiciary. So we all have one common goal, which is service delivery. And it's I think it's been going on for quite some time. I've been a convener for about 5 years now, and we've had good conversations. Things have improved. Delivery time has improved. You tell judges, we don't like the way you people take too long to give us this, and they've improved. It's constant feedback and live feedback.
Okay, but why is it really important to have this committee?
Well, it comes from what was there before. Previously, we had different people. You have the bench that sits on its own and makes its decisions without consulting the people that consume the service. Who are the advocates, who are the clients, who are the institutions like the DPP, ARA, the AG's office, and now you have these people consuming the service also behaving as if there's a fight between them and the bench. So it just came in to foster a calm, open environment where, some solutions come with just talking. If we say we need this, especially when things have changed. I'll give an example when we had a change during COVID, when we had to adopt to the e-filing and IT system. There were a lot of teething problems. So this is a service that the judiciary has adopted, and the consumers, the best way to get feedback is through the Bar Bench Committee, because there is no bad blood. You can say anything you want, and it's a good space. Yeah.
What does it provide? So there's a relationship, obviously, that is then fixed, essentially, between bar and bench. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay. What does it then provide in terms of now services of an outward nature? Because it's external folks who come into this space to seek help. What does a fixed relationship, essentially, with this committee then provide for the external players, me's, the you's, then who come into the system thereafter?
Okay, so, because of the feedback that comes through, especially the bench and the bar also, the bar, because we are the ones who interact with the external persons, you're able then to give feedback to the bench, the people, and the administration, by the way, because this also involves registry staff, it involves the court staff, everyone who has anything to do in that division. So when we get this feedback from, let's say, our external people who are clients, or the way we've interacted with the system as it is, it improves it for them. At the end of the day, the service that we get is for the external people, not really for the advocates, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is it like a court users committee?
Yes.
Or what's the difference between this?
Yeah, it's a component.
How different is it, Your Honor?
For the Court Users Committee, we have all the players in the justice sector.
Okay.
For the bar bench, it's exactly that, the bar and the bench. The bar is made up of the advocates, and these advocates are not just in the LSK only, they are represented in different institutions.
Okay.
We have advocates in the Office of the the Director of
DPP.
Prosecution Council, yes, public prosecutions. We also have advocates in all these other organizations, Assets Recovery Agency. So these are particularly court officers,
Okay.
but wearing different hats.
Okay.
And so when we have this feedback loop, the feedback loop really what it's supposed to do, there are many documents. For instance, the court generates orders. We have documents that we have processes, processing bail, processing bond, processing cash bill returns and things like that. So these are the best people for us to tell us exactly where we are not doing it right. Because as much as the court users involves other wananchi, they may not even understand the nitty-gritties of how this is done within the process, so they don't even know how to raise those concerns. But advocates, for instance, know that if I have paid cash bail and my matter is done, then I need my money back. Many wananchi, at times you tell them, you come and collect your money. They're like, which money, Your Honor? You know, they look at you so strangely, like I cannot imagine, conjecture at any point that the court can give me money. So you try to explain to them the cash bail was only to make sure you come to court while the matter was going on. So they may not be able to give us very good feedback, and not to talk down to them, but you need at times an officer who understands what the court process is, so they can challenge it and say, we expect better of this. We know the law has provided something more, and we know that you can deliver something better.
Okay.
And likewise for them, we also tell them, look, counsel, if you're not going to be having the matter continue, if you're going to be adjourning it, perhaps you need to speak to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions ahead of time, so they don't bond their witnesses. So they have a forum in which they communicate, either through email. They may not, of course, get the adjournment just by having that discussion. But you know, when you give the other party advance notice, it helps them also in their decision making as to what to do. So eventually when they get to court, it makes for an easier court time. The objections, the arguments are not at that level where it looks like it's almost acrimonious.
Okay.
That is my take of it.
So I see a benefit in improving efficiency
Yes.
of the processes
Yes.
within the anti-corruption courts. Does it improve the access to justice?
It does.
In corruption, many of the times it will be the state, because the taxpayers have been defrauded,
Yes.
and that's what the prosecutor is coming to say in court. And then there's somebody who says, absolutely no way, I am as clean as white as snow. Does it enhance the speedy delivery of justice? And can you demonstrate how? Paula.
Thank you. Yes, it does. As we said, if you improve processes, then you increase service delivery. For example, timings. You know, those are some of the issues we discussed. You know, you have issues of dates, taking hearing dates. When is the next time we're supposed to appear? Those are some of the things we get an opportunity to guide the bench, because this comes from the side of the bar on how to improve, and it eventually improves even service delivery for those people. Because even if a person, let's say, took public funds, it's important for them to go through a fair process, and a process that won't take too long. And you know, they always say, if justice is delayed, justice is denied. It does not mean that the person is innocent. As long as they're taken through a fast and efficient process, it's better for every party, because then the issue is resolved in the shortest time possible.
Can you give us an example, without going into specifics of a case, but examples where, because of this collaboration,
Yes.
we have seen better, faster, smoother delivery of justice?
Yes, actually what's happening right now, there's a rapid there's this program that's happening by the courts, the Rapid
Results Initiative.
Rapid Results Initiative that's happening right now, because of course we always get those, we need results, we need to understand how come some of the times the decisions are taking so long, and because of that the policies that then are put in place to ensure that service is improved and delivered on time. So that's one of those things that come from
But that doesn't need a committee. That we see all divisions of the judiciary constantly telling us we're going to have an RRI week, a judiciary week, this week, a lands week. We don't need a committee for that. It's just the division to decide. We are dedicating ourselves. We're even going to ask our colleagues from other stations to come so that we can expedite this.
I think what you'd need to understand is that however much the judiciary, for instance, makes a decision that this is how we're going to go, without the other players in the justice system, we cannot move. Okay, of course we can move, but we'll be slower, let's be honest. For instance, let me take an example. When you have parties coming to court and their advocates are not present, and the party tells you, sorry, my counsel is not present, and therefore I cannot proceed. As much as you'd want to proceed as a court, you find that the system might not be very fair on such a client. But in such a process where we have advocates represented, and these are our regular bar bench users, when they come to court, we tell them, look, once you take instructions, please let it be known by your client that you're taking full instructions. And if your client intends to fire you from record, the date for the hearing is not the date for you to do that. Let it be clear to them that if they fire you on the date for hearing, then they'll be on their own. Because ideally, the court should give them time to go and hire another advocate. But as much as we give them time, once they understand that, you realize this I call them at times, I think they're just ways to pull back. So you find that reduces because the messaging is clear from the both of us, from both the bench and the bar as well. They understand that if there are going to be changes between my client and I, then the date for hearing is not the day to bring those issues up. We are supposed to bring them maybe a day before. That means on that date for hearing, we'll be able to proceed because even if Paula is no longer on record, the other advocate has already come on record, and when we come to court, the matter is proceeding. We are not finding one more reason for the matter not to proceed. So that in my mind is an immediate gain, a very immediate gain. When we talk of communication through this bar bench, we had communication channels that would have to wait for the parties to come to court, for the court to tell them, for instance, that we'll not be sitting next week. Now, because we have this, we are able to communicate. We understand that when a court, for instance, reaches out to an advocate, it is not because we want to circumvent or subvert the course of justice.
Okay.
It is that this is an office of the court, and these communication channels have to be kept open at all times.
I'm curious as to how far this permeates a culture that has been there for a very long time. By this I mean, if we're looking at corruption cases, which is what we're looking at specifically, it has appeared as though it has been the culture to delay as much as possible. That's why there's public outcry about how come we don't see the results of some of these cases, etc., etc. And it has been said that members of the bar have used delayed tactics quite often to prolong things.
The process.
And that has been a culture, right?
Yes.
So how far then does this open that up across board so that there's understanding across board to say, guys, what we're trying to do actually here is to not delay and then by virtue deny justice. With the rapid results program and with the understanding that you say there is now between bar and bench, will that go as far as needed to break that culture?
Okay, I guess that would be mine. Now, what I hear is the roots of where all this started. If you look at our criminal justice system, it's an adversarial system where parties are fighting. It seemed to be that, you have a prosecutor who is going to go and fight against the defense counsel, and the defense counsel is going to then go and fight with the prosecution and fight with the court. So what the bar bench did was bring all these adversarial parties together and sit on a desk and say, listen, we need to improve this. Because if you're fighting, it doesn't help. What came from that is now the court sort of brought itself, the court is seen as, in the public eye, it's this thing that is up there in heaven. Both of you are there and you are at its mercy. If you're able to have that open communication, identify the challenges there. Part of the issues that causes delay and all those things was maybe documentation, maybe things are missing, and those are nitty-gritty things that come in through the act and cause further delays. But if parties are able to communicate and say, listen, we need this kind of thing. I'll give an example. We've recently adopted a case management tool in the anti-corruption division, which tool helps us to first of all decide the issues. Let's say if there's documentation that's not been supplied, if there's something that has not been supplied before a case starts, that will help to speed up the process. And this was a result of the bar bench. The meetings that we had, we said, let's sit down and brainstorm. How do we come up with something that would improve and quicken the process, and where we're all not fighting? Because, of course, as a defense counsel, you wouldn't sit there and go with a process where you feel that maybe a prosecutor has advantage over you. But if you all agree on one document through open communication, then it makes the process faster.
Are there instances where you said that, Paula, that this is a forum where people speak their mind? We encourage open and truthful conversation.
Yes.
To what extent? To what extent do you actually does a judicial officer come and tell you guys, look, you people, this is now hanky-panky that you're playing, and I'm not going to entertain it? Because we see it at the end when the anti-corruption court is delivering its decisions, and we hear what they've said about the process that was undertaken, where a judicial officer is basically saying, look, for us to get here, clearly the prosecution, you bungled this case.
Yeah.
Or the defense counsel was just playing back and forth here, and you really did not serve your client well. We have seen it at the point of decision of the court. Has that been communicated in this forum where the judicial officer is basically saying, come on, DPP, come on, you've wasted my time today?
Yeah, like we said, it's an open forum. It's open communication, and feedback is two-way, by the way. Yeah, because there's also that feedback where we've had people come in and say, but judge, you're not fair.
Yeah.
You do things like this, and it's always accepted. There is no repercussions in that forum, and people are encouraged. We keep encouraging. Actually, another thing we've done is, before we have these meetings, for those who are afraid to speak, we usually send out notices with sort of like a queue. You can send in any complaint and it will be raised on the platform. So that's just to increase and enhance the openness. So it's there.
And perhaps just to state, it is not about the decisional issues of the court.
It's just processes.
The processes.
Yeah.
The processes are just as important to get to the right end. And I have seen change. In the last 1 year, we've had 19 matters finalized. Now, in anti-corruption, those are many matters. Because you have one witness perhaps who could come and testify for 2 months, and that is examination in chief. Then you need to go to cross-examination. So if we are talking of 19 matters in 1 month, that's about an average of 1.5 matters every month. That is big in the anti-corruption circles. Remember also, our matters are not too many, but they are bulky and they are heavy and they are old. Many of our matters are 2010 matters, corruption matters that happened in the 2007. So you're talking of retirees as witnesses, and it's normally a very interesting thing when you finalize a matter. You actually feel quite relieved.
Let's take a break. We'll continue this conversation shortly. 27 to 8. We are talking about enhancing collaboration in the fight against corruption. What is happening in the courts? There is a committee. It's called the Bar Bench Committee. It brings together the judicial officers, judges, magistrates. It brings in the advocates. It brings in the institutions, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Asset Recovery. Is it agency or authority?
Yes, agency.
It's agency, not authority. It's agency. That one, the Asset Recovery Agency. We also have, of course, the State Law Office, the Office of the Attorney General is involved here, and the others that play here, and also clients who have their matters in court. All those together, they have a forum where they are communicating and trying to say, let's enhance the speedy delivery of justice. Paula Atukunda is an advocate of the High Court, and she's the convener of this committee, the Anti-Corruption Bar Bench Committee. And the Honorable Zipporah Geshana is a principal magistrate in the Anti-Corruption Court. Keep it here. We'll be back.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
One of the things that are in our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it.
They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. 15 degrees. We'll see highs of 24 and highs of 25 in a sunny Nakuru at 16. It's 17 and partly sunny in Nyeri with highs of 23. And we're looking into a sunny Eldoret at 16, going to highs of 25. Into Mombasa at 25 is sunny, and Malindi is sunny at 26 with highs of 31. It's a sunny morning in Kisumu at 21 with highs of 29, and Kakamega at 19 is sunny. We'll also see highs of 29. Kampala is sunny at 22 with highs of 29, and Dar es Salaam this morning is sunny at 24 with highs of 31. Johannesburg is clear at 8, highs of 20 and lows of 2, while at 28 Mogadishu is sunny with highs of 32. It's 17 and sunny in Addis Ababa with highs of 26. Lagos this morning is clear at 26 with highs of 31, and clear at 20 in Kinshasa with highs of 30 and lows of 20.
SpiceFM, Nyeri.
All right, traffic is starting to build in many parts of the city this morning. Let's take a look at what's coming off of Magadi Road. It's going to join with what's coming off of Langata Road today, in from Karen out towards that junction leading towards the United Stadium roundabout. That's heavy, and then some of that goes towards Raila Odinga Way. And then round to the City Mortuary roundabout. Most traffic that we're seeing this morning is coming off of the Thika Superhighway, Limuru Road, Kiambu Road. Some of that then getting through on the Thika Superhighway through to Muranga Road and the Globe Cinema roundabout. It's been busy for weeks. It looks like it's going to continue for some time. It's also busy on Jago Road. We'll see a pack up on Landis Road as you get towards Kamkunji at the roundabout. Quick look at the Eastern Bypass, and there's some traffic, actually quite heavy inbound. As well as some of that spilling over towards Outer Ring. All right, we're in traffic hour now. Let's see what happens as we progress. We talk on SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The fight against corruption and the judiciary, which is accused as being the bottleneck in the fight against corruption. Of course, the judiciary always fights back and says, come on, we are dealing with what is before us. And everybody else is like, yeah, but we take these matters before them. And then who has been jailed? Give me one.
That has been convicted and sentenced.
And jailed over corruption. And of course, we always say sometimes it's unfair to just heap the blame on the judiciary and not looking at the successes in the judiciary. And let's focus on the successes. One of them is this committee. And just from hearing from the convener, Advocate Paula Tukunda, on what the committee does, bringing together all the parties and saying, let's all work together towards enhancing this. And then hearing from one of the members, the Honorable Zipporah Gishana, who's a principal magistrate in the anti-corruption court, then you can say, okay, yeah, there's actually, people actually work on these things. But they're long, like you said, Honorable Gishana. These are cases that were filed over 10 years ago. Even when the EACC comes in and they're giving us the success rate, they tell us, this is a matter that has taken 11 years in court. It has taken 10 years in court. Others are still going on it, 12, 13 years. A matter that was taken to court last year, don't be in a hurry. Why should it take this long? I'm sure the processes notwithstanding, what else makes these cases take so long?
By the way, I think we need to state that a lot of these matters, when I say they were brought, it's not that they were brought in 2010. Maybe the crimes happened 10 years ago.
Right.
What does that mean? Witnesses, memory attrition. Even tracing the witnesses, it is quite a long walk. because many of them perhaps were civil servants. They are no longer in service. They were working for institutions. They are no longer in those institutions. So already the process of investigations has taken so long. In the court now, I think possibly one of our oldest matters is a 2010 matter. That one was filed in 2010. But the interesting bit is that hearing effectively started in 2018. I will not be mentioning names, it's still a live matter, but hearing essentially started in 2018. For the period between when it was filed and when the matter eventually started, we started hearing now as the main case, there were so many applications back and forth, all the way to the High Court, Court of Appeal, testing the system, raising very good issues, legal issues, and saying that I should not be taken through this process, it's unfair, it's this and the other. So there are processes that at times there's nothing to do about it, but that is the whole idea of process. You trust the process, it will get you eventually to where you want to be. Is it as quick as you'd want it for it to be? No, it is not. I think at times I take it as treatment. You see a doctor, he gives you pills, he gives you medicine, he gives you a course of action to follow, but you have to be patient. You have to be patient, and eventually healing will come when it comes. You cannot. There are not processes at times that you can push. Now we have turnaround times that are a bit better because of some of these measures we have taken. And like I said, last year, in the last 1 year, we have finalized 19 matters. A good number of these matters are fairly new, are fairly young in the system. When I say new, I don't mean because we have matters of 2017. In fact, these matters that we have finalized, the oldest seemingly is a 2013 matter, but many of them are 2015, 2017, 2020, 2019.
By finalized, are we talking about delivery?
Yes,
of judgment?
delivery of judgment. Okay. Delivery judgment, either acquittal or either convictions. But it is an interesting turnaround time, in my view, because as you can see, in the last 1 year, we have had very fresh matters finalized. 3-year-old. For the judiciary, 3-year-old is plus 3 years is what counts as backlog.
Is there, or has, and how has it been dealt with, if there is frustration? We've seen some of the things that we've seen. Granted that there would be, a state representation whereby the threshold has not been met, and the court, through a judicial officer, will say, come on, guys, you need to be able to bring me something better than this for me to be able to deal with. We've seen some of those cases most recently whereby there's been frustration on the part of the judicial officer to say, we can't continue to operate like this. Would such then be matters arising in this particular committee where we're saying, okay, let's have the understanding that before we walk into the four walls of a courtroom, that everybody is prepared? Because it would seem to me that that would be one of the things that would delay this process, whereby not enough, or rather the threshold for evidence has not been met. Witnesses don't turn up. Whomever is sick today doesn't come tomorrow, and that has direct impact on what will happen with the case. Are such things then broached between the bar and the bench to then make sure that we actually get on with this thing and move faster?
Well, some of those things that maybe you talk about, the way a party conducts its case is really up to them. There's a threshold that is guided by law that needs to be met, and in that position the judicial officer is an independent arbiter. There's not much they can do because the person who has their case conducts it in the manner that they need to do. However, when it comes to process issues, strictly process issues, where perhaps maybe you have, let's say, an investigating officer is not able to bond his witnesses or has not been able to bring their witnesses, such issues can be brought to the forum that we have. And we have that conversation, because even them, you can castigate someone without understanding where they're coming from. So then they would give you feedback. They would say, listen, I had my witnesses at this point. However, perhaps this witness traveled to Isiolo. I'm not able to get them. I'm not in contact with them. And because of that, then the court we come to a middle ground and understand what is happening here. Do we need to issue notices on time? Or maybe the witness has, let's say, refused to come and testify. Some of them, when they retire, they leave. They move on, go back to their villages, and they want nothing to do with any of these things. So those are some of the things that help all parties understand what is actually happening with the process and why aren't things moving in that space,
Sometimes coming from the prosecution side, and we recently had a conversation with the Director of Public Prosecutions, Renson Ingonga, and we were questioning the decision to charge and how they arrive at it. Because you will find that the prosecutor is taking 10 accused persons to court over one case, each of them facing 4 or 5 judges. And we even reminded the DPP of Chief Justice Emeritus David Maraga saying, look, when you bring 11 people with 11 charges each, how long will it take for us to just take the pleas from this? How long will it take for us to continue with this? Do you have these conversations there? You're like, okay, so at some point this case started with X number of accused persons. You have dropped them. As the case progresses, you're left with 2. So we took so much time.
Well, the decision to charge is an independent decision that lies with the office of the DPP. They have a threshold, they have a policy that guides that decision and why they choose to bring a certain number. You know, anti-corruption cases are very complex. It's difficult to find an anti-corruption case where there's one person, unless you're talking about a bribery claim. That's easy. But you're talking about a system that deals with probably procurement. It comes from there, it goes into accounts. It comes from there, it goes into the contractor. So there's usually a chain of all these people. So the DPP has to meet the threshold under their policy, the evidence tests. They have so many loopholes that they go through before they make that decision. It's a painful one, I guess, and but sometimes it happens. It just has to be that way because of the nature of anti-corruption cases in themselves. It's not usually 1 or 2 people that are involved or accused of doing something.
But maybe starting from that premise, that's where we go wrong. Because you're like, okay, I've got to take several people to court. And then at some point, the prosecutor will realize that what I thought I had against this accused person is actually not strong enough to sustain this case to what I'm seeking, which is a conviction. So I drop these cases as we go on. Is that not frustrating, Honorable Ishana?
Actually, what I'd want to say is we are all learning from the process. And I can tell you through the National Council for Administration of Justice, some of these conversations have been had. Some of them have actually, like you have rightly stated, have already been subject to judicial pronouncements. How many accused persons is an ideal matter. Of course, we don't state it in absolute terms, but we say perhaps with a number like this looks, and some of them are actually judicial pronouncements from very high up. And so we have seen changes. And if we're also honest, we will also say that there has been improvement. So I believe that we are constantly also learning in the process. And there has been improvement. But as Paula has already stated, there is a process to this. There is a process. It is not a random decision to charge by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. It's a well thought out process, and eventually, of course, we all learn from what we experience, and changes are made as are deemed necessary. So there is improvement.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I also see then, and again, like we saw, I think for the first time, or first time publicly, we did then see the apparent frustration that came from a judicial officer when it was said, again, we cannot continue to have something like this where you take us through the process and then bring us back to as though nothing was done. So it wastes the time of the court, it wastes the time of everybody who's involved in that process. So then I guess we come back to that place where we ask, is there really something that can be done? Like you said, you could have planned all of this, right? And at the end of the day, you can't find a witness, or somebody is unwell on that day, or somebody recants
their testimony.
There are changes.
How does that play? How does that play in this symbiotic relationship whereby you thought everything was okay, and then we get another frustration, and we're like, but I thought we had agreed that these things would not happen.
This is the change that is occurring now. There was a time there were no discussions of plea bargaining in anti-corruption matters. But those are discussions we are having. Some of those matters that we have finalized are plea bargains. That is already a mind shift, I think, for all justice players. It is the understanding that there are more than one ways to skin a cat, if I may put it that way. We have had, for instance, for the first time, an understanding that a witness does not have to be physically present in court to testify. We are exploring solutions driven by technology. Yes, so that we have witnesses seated in the US. There was a time when we thought the witness really has to come to court. I have to touch them, I have to feel them. No, those changes are already occurring in the system. And I think what we need to appreciate is that this has been a long time coming, and it is getting there. So even as much as there might be still issues that we need to work on, I see a constant effort by all players to make improvements. Yes.
We're talking about many players. If you just look at the members of the bar who would be representing their clients in the various cases, those are many.
Yes.
You look at the institutions and the individuals who work for this institution. The DPP has many officers appearing before court.
Yes.
The anti-corruption court itself, the magistrates and the judges, and you keep changing. So today you're here on Geshana, next week you've been transferred to another station, and we're talking about very many people.
Yes.
When you're dealing with people, there'll always be challenges. What are those challenges that you face as a committee when you're saying, all right, I'm convening this committee, I'm the convener of this committee, and we're having these open conversations? Paula, what are the challenges of the committee?
Well, at the start, let me just begin from there. I think the challenges was, first of all, bringing the people together and having open and candid discussions, because there's always that suspicion. I don't think you can put a defense counsel and a prosecutor in the same room and there's no tension or suspension on the table. There'll always be that. But trying to foster a bit of harmony has been something that's ongoing, because some people still suspect the process, others are not open to have those discussions, and they would rather go through the usual adversarial system where we fight each other, which doesn't help any of us at the end of the day. But those are some of the challenges, I think. But I would want to feel that we've come of age, and a lot has improved, to be honest. We used to have, from personal experience, and so the issue you brought up earlier, we've started having a bit of a longer pre-trial process where we sit down as all parties on leveled ground and decide what are the issues that are lying here. Do you have all the documents? Confirm. Previously, when that communication was not there, it was easy for me to keep quiet and wait to come to court on the date of hearing and say, no, I don't have this.
Out of my heart.
I pull something under my seat, but then these discussions have helped us, and through the bar bench, that's why I talked about this Order 11 document that we decided to adopt. It's a checklist, and there's cooperation from everyone. Actually, everyone is going through it, seeing what is there, because if you don't put it there, then the matter will still proceed, with or without.
So, what's the mode for this constant upkeep of relationship between the bar and the bench? Are there meetings? Are there sessions?
WhatsApp
with regularity? WhatsApp group, right? Have a coffee on a Saturday. What happens?
Okay, so we have meetings every quarter, about 3 meetings. We just had one last week. And everyone comes together. We have them usually virtually. Once in a while, we have them together physically. Then we also have one major meeting. It's called the Inns of Court. That happens once in a year, where we pick a strategic topic, because like you said, the system involves people. These people need training. So as recently we adopted the IT, the technology advancement in the system, and we realized part of the delay that was coming in at that point was people do not know how to use these things. You tell someone file online, someone comes on virtual court, they're putting their nose into the camera, they can't. So we've had even the judiciary bring in people to train, even advocates, on how to use these systems, train people how to upload your documents. So we usually also, through the Inns of Court, we have topics, thematic areas in the kind of things that we deal with, where we get specialized people to come and train everyone. This is the advocates, the state council, and the courts on how to deal with this. So it makes things a bit better.
We are fighting corruption, And it has been said many times by even those within the system that there is corruption in the corridors of the judiciary. All right? So here you're fighting. You would expect that because we are dealing with multi-million, multi-billion shilling cases in the anti-corruption court, that when you talk about corruption in the judiciary, this is the up under your green plot.
Is there tea in tea?
Yes. So how do you use your committee to even improve those relations and to change the perception of the public that what we are seeing here is not just, corruption wheeler dealing happening. A case has been dropped, obviously, all those kind of things. Do you use your committee to do that, to help in public perception?
Oh, well, the committee really has not dealt with the public directly. We don't have a public engagement. However, the results that come out of there probably are what then reflects to the public and improves perception of all players, because much as they may say there's corruption in the corridors and it's the judiciary, usually when they see advocates, especially us who practice in those corridors, you're usually labeled as the cartels.
Yeah.
You're the ones
You're the enablers.
You're the enablers. You're the ones
You're
who
the bug carriers.
You're the ones who do these things. So it's important for all of us, the advocates, first of all, to improve the systems so that it's not taken that it looks that, you're the one who is doing it. And as we improve, the judiciary, the bench as well, the bench will also improve. And also the DPP will improve. So there, the image is, we are sort of tied together as one thing. So we all have to do the same thing so that the perception improves out there.
In these open, candid conversations,
yes,
do you tell each other, where I suspect you did ABCD? Or I heard somewhere that, Your Honor, I heard somewhere that Advocate so-and-so did this and saw you.
I've actually had an experience with one advocate who came in and he was so angry. And he was very angry. He had a personal experience and we gave him space to vent. He spoke, the judicial officer was there, she listened and also gave her side of the story, and I believe it sorted that. And that is it. That is actually the forum. You must come and speak of a practical experience from heart. There is no,
But also,
okay, please go ahead.
Just to state, we are alive to these issues. Within the anti-corruption court, both the lower division and both the magistrates' courts and the high court, we have actually come up with a tool. We call it the CRAMP. It is the Corruption Risk Assessment Matrix, and it is a tool that we try to map out areas which we think are danger zones, if I may put it that way. What are our weak points between this process and this process? This could be a weak point. So we have also put champions in those areas. Some of those champions are in the CUC. Now the bar bench is a subcommittee of the CUC. So we have champions within those areas where we are saying these are the issues that you should be able to flag out. And if you see these issues, then there might be a problem. So it is not, there are things we are alive to, and we are aware, and we are taking measures. And these measures that we take, some of them, though internal, are extended. The benefits are extended to our external customers. So we are discussing those issues very candidly within the system, even if not at the bar bench, but within the system we are discussing those issues very candidly.
It's important to address the public perception. And I know you said you don't have a public-facing engagement at all, but part of the things that you're doing, probably just consider how does this impact the perception of the members of this committee in the public? Because it's we know if there's corruption in the court, if a judge has been bribed, who approached the judge?
Yes.
It was a lawyer. If an advocate approached the judge, or if an advocate approached the DPP, and the DPP dropped, the officer in the DPP found something, Your Honor, I can't find my witnesses and this and the other. It's the same. These guys, the members of this committee, would be the ones who are accused.
Yes.
You have to address it.
Yes. I believe that's something we can look at, because initially we've just dealt in-house with the members of the bar and the members of the bench. So it's something we could actually look at, to look at the public perception. Because, like they say, bad news sells, and every time something is hot in our division, it really sells. So I think addressing it has been through trying to improve service and trying to make things work so that people see results, rather than, talking about things that are not actually on the ground.
Well, by being here, Paula, you've started addressing it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
And
Paula
actually
Atukunda.
tomorrow,
Yes.
we have our open day. We have the anti-corruption court open day tomorrow. And we're inviting not just members of the bench, we're inviting all players. We are inviting Wananchi. We'll do a march from our courts at Forodha House all the way into town. We'll come back from around 10:30. We'll stable there and we'll be receiving views from the members of the public. We'll be receiving feedback and even those issues. Remember also we have our channels through which you can channel all complaints. We have the Judiciary Ombudsman, and please feel free to explore these options if things are not working.
Asante sana. The Honorable Zipporah Geshana, Principal Magistrate in the Anti-Corruption Court, and Paula Atukunda, an advocate of the High Court and convener of the Anti-Corruption Bar Bench Committee. That has been our Justice Thursday conversation, 8 a.m. news time.
Amla Ubaga. A meeting that's meant to resolve the dispute surrounding the Muga ban is set to be led by Agriculture CS Mithika Linturi today. MB leaders led by Attorney General Justin Muturi and County Governor Cecilia Marira say they are ready to take part in the meeting despite coast governors and MPs saying they'll not be in attendance.
I want to commend our government and the leadership for the stand that they're taking. I fully agree with the stand taken by the leadership of this country led by our government, since the beginning.
Mheshimiwa Linturi ametuita Thursday. Sisi viongozi wa kaunti ambazo zinakuza miraa na muoka na wale ambao wanaleta shida huko coast. Mimi nataka kusema tuko tayari kuja hapo na tutakuja kama tumejitayarisha na evidence yetu.
MB leaders have further warned Mombasa Governor Abdul Swamad Nasir from threatening them despite a court order halting the ban on Muga.
Ile ambayo inaharibu watoto wa Mombasa na coast ni kwamba wanakula muoka na wanaongeza cocaine na heroin. Mimi nataka kuuliza Governor Nasir, tafadhali wacha kupiga watu wetu wakikuja huko. There is a court order. Tulipatiwa court order last week ambayo imetupatia mwezi mmoja ndio tuwe tumeongea kule kotini na the status quo must remain.
The Anglican Church of Kenya Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit has urged the government to ease the tax burden on citizens and reduce the appetite for borrowing. Sapit expressed concern that heavy taxation on the common man and spiraling public debt was impacting negatively on economic growth.
The taxes we are paying going to what will benefit Kenyans generally, or they are misplaced and they are not put in a way that it comes back to me.
Sapit further said the churches are not taxed when it comes to tithes and offerings, but any other businesses run by churches are taxed.
We are exempted from taxation on tithes and Sunday collections. But any other money we make, say we have a guest house or we have a hotel, we are not exempt from taxation and we pay and comply.
Senators have called out cabinet secretaries for snubbing summons to appear before House committees. Senate Deputy Speaker Kathure Murungi says that some ministers routinely ignore invitations to appear before them to respond to issues raised by senators when even after being served by notices. Murungi said non-appearance and delayed responses issued by CSs made it challenging for Senate committees to investigate various matters. Even as schools are just about to break for half-term, most public junior secondary school students have barely had lessons as their teachers have been on strike. In Turkana County, JSS teachers are demanding for hardship allowance as well as want the government to employ them on permanent and pensionable terms before they call off their strike.
Darasi si halali, si ndivyo? Na niwaulize, je, nyinyi mlitia sahihi katika uhuishaji wa nyaraka hizo za nyaraka hizo za kandarasi? Ulitia sahihi popote? Basi serikali ilihuisha wenyewe bila sisi kujua wala kutia sahihi popote. Na tunasema ni kosa, waweke maanani sana walimu hawa, la sivyo mfumo unayumba na utazama.
17 Ethiopian men who were rescued from human trafficking and 2 Kenyans who were arrested will be arraigned in a Mombasa court this morning. DCI detectives made the arrests of two trafficking suspects following a tip-off from members of the public that led to the rescue of the foreigners. And in the international scene, an Israeli airstrike on a UN school packed with hundreds of displaced people in central Gaza has killed more than 20 people. The Israeli military said it carried out a strike on a UN school that housed a Hamas compound. Local journalists say that an Israeli warplane fired 2 missiles at classrooms on the top floor of the school in Nusayrat refugee camp. The Hamas media office said at least 27 people were killed and accused Israel of committing a horrific massacre. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
There's heavy traffic inbound on the Eastern Bypass this morning, and it's getting out towards that Outer Ring Junction. It's going to continue through towards Airport Road, North Airport Road rather, and that still remains pretty heavy. Jogoo Road also then getting out towards Landis. Landis now seems to be reducing in terms of traffic. We'll get to that Kamkunji roundabout, and that's where it is heavy. Also on the Thika Superhighway, still pretty heavy, taking us through towards Muranga Road on one side, where there's now heavy traffic all the way through towards the roundabout. And then on Wangari Maathai, we were seeing some traffic having built up, coming in heavy from Limuru Road, touching on that Wangari Maathai area out towards museums and then onto Huru Highway. That's doing the thing. It's also busy on Gong Road. Quite some traffic coming in from Langata Road and spilling over towards Raila Odinga Way. So all of that doing the business. We're in traffic hour. We'll probably be this way for some time. Let's keep an eye on things, guys. Where are you? Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Lafiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
You know, when we say that the tax amnesty expires and you think we're joking, shauri yako, my friend, the 30th of June is coming. You know you owe KRA. You have some tax arrears for period between up to 2022 December, from 2019 thereabouts. You did not pay. You have penalties and interests. You have not cleared them. And you're looking at that figure and you're thinking, this one is just procrastination. I'll deal with it. These ones, I'll deal with them later. So you haven't dealt with them. And now here you are. You've been told there's a tax amnesty that's being offered by KRA, and this is in law. And they're saying, come, let's discuss. We will remove the interest and the penalties, and you'll only be left with the what to pay, the principal to pay for the taxes up to December 31st, 2022. And you're saying, amnesty, see amnesty, because in 1st of July, you have not taken advantage of this amnesty. Tax, principal, interest, penalty applies. If you take advantage of the amnesty before the 30th of June, what applies? Only principal. They'll discuss how to waive the interest and penalties. And you can discuss a payment plan for this principal.
Yes. You have two both.
Yeah. So you just call KRA today. 07
11 099 999.
0711 099 999. Or you can go to the website.
You can go to the website, which is www.kra.go.ke, and then you go to iTax. On that, and you follow that tab, the next tab that you'll be going to is the debt and enforcement. And then under that is the amnesty application. All right? So you fill out that. There are 5 more steps after that, and there you should be fine to be able to make that application and start to do the due diligence by the 30th of June.
And so Amlioto has done a song. Our Amlioto.
Our Amlioto. Yes.
And it's called? It's called what? Is it playing? So who sang this song?
Okello Max. And Amlioto and Benso.
So earlier this morning, when we were talking about the conversations we were going to have, we said we'll have our Justice Thursday conversation, and then we'll also talk about the Kenya-USA 60 years of diplomatic relations. And we said our guest is going to come, and the guest is the CEO of the American Chamber of Commerce, Kenya, and his name is Maxwell Okello. And people online started saying, Okello Max.
For real, he's coming.
For real, he's coming. Kumbe, he's a CEO. No. Are you Okello Max?
I can officially confirm that I am Maxwell Okello.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not Okello Max.
Not Okello Max.
Of no relation whatsoever.
Okay. No relation whatsoever.
And even if we even reverse your names, you're not the musician.
Definitely not.
Okay.
I mean, I do have some musical aspirations, but certainly not Okello Max.
But you leave them
not to that level yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
But you can do like a number here. It's okay.
Hey, take it easy, man. We are here for a different purpose, isn't it?
At the end of the day, maybe you'll actually be incited enough to feel, let me drop one.
Let's see.
Maxwell Okello, CEO, American Chamber of Commerce, Kenya. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thanyou, sir.
It's good to have you here. Good to have you here. I have a message for you from Kenchik. You know Kenchik, right? When you think chicken, the people who are cuckoo about chicken, Kenchik, right? So the previous guests here were telling us about the places that you go on Moi Avenue at odd hours of the day.
Choose for yourself what hours those are.
Have you ever experienced that?
Yes.
Like going to Moi Avenue or Luthuli Avenue at some odd hours of the day, and you find the cuckoo and right?
Cuckoo summers, as we used to call them. I don't know whether they still refer to them as that.
I wonder, actually.
Yeah.
They call them rotisserie. Now, Kenchik have decided we know cuckoo. We also know ng'ombe. So there's Ken Beef by Kenchik.
All right.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Very.
But the brand name still remains
Ken Beef by Kenchik.
Or Ken Beef by Kenchik.
Yes.
Interesting.
So what they have is they've contracted farmers in Laikipia, ranching, cattle on ranch, grass-fed, enjoying nice spring water, and the foothills of Mount Kenya, clean, crisp air. Now, that ng'ombe, my friend, right? So then it's slaughtered. They bring the meat, the carcasses, to a processing factory in Thika. They sort out prime cuts, wet-aged, 21-day aged beef. So you have those prime cuts, yes? And then also, they have the other products. Kina what?
Sausage, minced meat, bacon. You know what bacon is?
What's bacon?
It's bacon by a cow.
All right.
What else?
Burger patties and boerewors.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
All those available in retail stores countrywide. Well sealed, well packed, and with a proper logo and label. Ken Beef by Kenchik. So next time you go into any supermarket and you find them at the meat chillers and you see at the meat Ken, who are these? Just know it's this trusted brand Kenchik that now has Ken Beef by Kenchik.
Well, I need to give that a try.
You should.
Yeah.
You should. We tried the sausages, my friend.
Choice ni moja, taste ni noma, my friend.
Likewise.
Choice ni moja, taste noma. Our colleague CT is not in. He said tukuachie salamu nyingi sana kwa gunia.
Shukran.
But he also left me with the day's proverb. And the job for you is to listen to the proverb and give us your interpretation of it. The proverbs for this week, City says they are from the Republic of the Gambia. Today's proverb: he who sleeps on a borrowed mat is sleeping on a cold, very cold ground. He who sleeps on a borrowed mat is sleeping on a cold, very cold ground. What's your interpretation of this?
He who sleeps on a cold mat is sleeping on a borrowed mat is sleeping on a cold ground. That's a tough one. Could it be that perhaps you are not in control, you are basically dependent on what you've borrowed, and therefore you are exposed? You're the mercy of your host or whoever it is you're borrowing this from.
Excellent. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It does make perfect sense. So basically the lesson here is, as long as you are on borrowed stuff, you're not comfortable. And you cannot be comfortable. Right?
Correct.
And the encouragement here is, get your own mat, man.
Yeah.
Get your own mat.
Gain control.
Gain control.
Yeah.
So Ednah had given us the Swahili version of this. Suruali ya kwazima haisitiri matako.
Right.
Suruali ya kwazima haisitiri matako. It's the same. Saying exactly the same thing. Suruali, you know what suruali is?
Yes.
Pants.
Yes.
Kwazima is to borrow.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
Sitiri would be what? Fit. Right? Okay.
Oh. Okay.
You get it?
I'm trying to put the words together. Yeah. I get it.
You get it?
So what you bought, it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't fit.
Your bottoms will not be comfortable
On somebody else's pants.
on somebody else's pants, on borrowed pants.
Right, got it.
So you're just walking there and, there's something. There's no fit.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit you because they're not yours. Yeah. So Maxwell, American Chamber of Commerce, we had the 2024 AmCham Business Summit last month. And then
the month before,
that was in April.
That was April, yes.
And then we saw that followed by the publicly publicized visit by Kenya's president to the USA on a state visit. And on that, he also had some meetings with business leaders in America. There were business leaders who came to visit here in the country. I mean, it was well attended. Just tell us, first of all, about AmCham before we go into the AmCham Business Summit and how you support business.
Well, thank you, Eric and Ndu, for having me this morning. So the American Chamber of Commerce is a business network of American companies in Kenya, or American companies that have interest in Kenya, together with local companies that are affiliated to those American businesses. So local companies that are doing business as part of the ecosystem of the American companies in Kenya. Our mandate is primarily twofold. First and foremost, to represent those companies on matters relating to policy, regulatory, legislative, basically the business climate or the business environment that impact their ability to effectively or optimally operate in the country. And then secondly, to promote bilateral trade and investment between Kenya and the US. So we currently have north of 250 companies in our membership. And this is a good spread across various sectors, from health to technology to agriculture to security to, there are so many different sectors that are represented, manufacturing and so on. So that briefly is what we do. We work very closely with both governments, the US government, the Kenya government, as well as the local private sector. We are part of the local private sector here, and indeed do have local companies that have direct commercial engagement with the US. So think of exporters of Kenyan produce into the US, or importers of American products into the country are also part of the network.
Tell us, of these 250 members, I'm sure there are 250 plus members.
Yes.
Or is it exact 250?
No. Plus. Could be somewhere in the 260-ish range, yes.
How many of them are actual American companies with business in Kenya?
That would be a split. It would be just about half of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the rest are American companies with interest in Kenya and Kenyan companies.
Correct.
Trading in America.
Correct.
Or with affiliates in America.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. It's a high number of American companies in Kenya.
Yeah, our estimation is that there's probably, if you talk about pure American companies, or companies with significant American investment in them, that would be north of 250 for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe closer to 300.
So essentially, there's an understanding between governments whereby these businesses are set up here. Do we see the same thing reciprocated on the other side, where there are Kenyan businesses to the number of 250, maybe less, being able to get through on this? So is it an open channel spread between both countries?
It is an open channel. We would like to see more Kenyan companies also set up in the US. I don't have an exact number that I can talk about. However, we do know that there are Kenyan companies, or would I say Kenyan-owned companies in the US, mainly by diaspora Kenyans in the US, who've set up and are either doing business in the US or actually bringing US products into Kenya. So that's there.
Okay.
What is AmCham formally recognized by the government of Kenya?
Yes, it is.
How so?
AmCham is a registered limited liability company in Kenya, but limited by guarantee. So we are a not-for-profit entity. We have a board of trustees composed, not trustees, directors actually, comprising of members who are elected at an annual general assembly as directors of the organization to oversight the affairs of the chamber. So I report into a board of directors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when the Ministry of Trade, for example, is dealing with AmCham, how do you deal? Do you deal as the ministry, the government, dealing with a recognized association of businesses, a representation of businesses, or do they look at you as, okay, so you're AmCham, you're one company, maybe you're representing others, or maybe you're not? Is it possible that, basically I just want to understand the legal engagement, if you had an engagement with, say, the Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Finance, or whichever, what would be on record?
It would be the business association. It's an industry association. I think that's probably a better term to use. It's an industry association. And as I've said, we represent that body, that ecosystem of American and local companies affiliated and are at the nexus of the US-Kenya trade and investment relationship.
Okay. Yeah. What kind of needs do these companies have?
Well, it varies. I've talked about the policy regulatory representation. So a good example would be the finance bills being published. It definitely has impact from a business climate perspective. And so we made submissions, as any other industry association did, on what we feel should be reviewed or looked at as far as the business climate is concerned. So that's one. Then two is the need for market information. So we provide our network with market information. So our network being the network that's here, but we also partner very closely with the US Chamber in the US. And so through that, then we're able to provide information back and forth that would be useful, especially for understanding the market, understanding the opportunities that are there, understanding the legislative and policy space that would help companies make strategic decisions when it comes to investing in Kenya and so on. Then the third area is that we are a big convener of one, public-private engagements, right? So this would be of a policy nature mainly, but also from a commercial perspective. So the AmCham Summit that you mentioned earlier is our flagship platform, and one that we host on an annual basis to bring together local private sector, US private sector, but also government, US government and Kenya, East Africa government representatives to drive policy that would help enhance bilateral trade and investment between the US, Kenya, and the region, but as well bring in an opportunity or create an opportunity for private sector to engage amongst themselves, strike or initiate commercial cooperation and deals as far as that is possible.
What is the ground like? And I think this is interesting here, because if we're one of the big drivers, then as has been spelt out by Kenya, is that to invite foreign investment into the country, and that would essentially see some points on the index rise, because of course then there's a lot more flowing in terms of foreign exchange, etc. What does the ground look like if we're now getting into the nitty-gritty of it and saying that for some 250 odd businesses from the US to be operational in Kenya, then it would appear as though the ground is favorable for investment. Is that the case?
It is. By and large,
I feel a but coming on.
By and large, it is not. It is not the perfect situation. Let me put it that way. The very fact, to your point, the very fact that you have these companies operating, and I would want to imagine a significant of them thriving in this environment, then it points to opportunity, and it points to a climate that is favorable to a large extent for those companies. Now, where the challenge is that for us to be able to make those companies excel, to make them be able to grow and expand and invest more in this market, to attract others as well, we need to consistently keep improving our investment climate, our business climate. And given the situation in our country currently, there are certain reforms that are being made to enhance the business environment. But at the same time, there are certain recommendations that we are seeing that would negatively impact or put a chill on the potential of attracting more foreign direct investment into the country.
Give us examples of both. On the one side, when you talk about recommendations that are being made that would enhance, and then those that are being made that would essentially throttle the business.
All right, so let me start with what would enhance. A simple example would be, and this has been resolved, but I'll use it as an example. If you remember, we used to have a law that required that any company coming to play in the ICT space, especially the regulated part of it, would need 30% local shareholding. That was a significant barrier. Now, the president, to his credit, did make an undertaking to remove that 30% local shareholding requirement for ICT companies. And when that was done, it unlocked AWS investment into Kenya. So that's an example.
Who's AWS?
Oh, sorry, Amazon Web Services. Amazon Web Services, right? So they came in, they set up, this happened sometime, I think the second half of last year. So that's an example. Now, on the negative side, you saw a proposal for a significant economic presence tax that is seen to be replacing DST, which is currently at 1.5%. I think the significant economic tax is proposed at 6%. Now, where this becomes a problem is, as you know, the digital service taxes are quite controversial globally. And this particular tax is specific to non-resident companies.
Yes.
Right? So the sort of companies that we would be trying to push into the country.
Yeah.
And some were already here as well. So what is the signaling that is sending out? If on the one hand you're saying, hey, welcome to the Silicon Savannah. Yeah. And you're doing all you can to create a drumbeat for the country, to attract tech companies and so on. But at the same time, you're putting in measures such as this, or you're proposing measures such as this that may not be favorably looked at when it comes to the perception of the country being a favorable investment destination for companies in that tech space, then we have a problem.
Who would be hit by this tax, the significant economic presence tax?
Well, it's non-resident companies.
What does that mean?
It means companies that are not registered here. They don't have residency in the country, but are benefiting from an economic perspective.
What does residency mean? Because I get confused with that. If a company, you've given an example of AWS. If an AWS established an office in Nairobi, would it become a resident company?
They would need to be registered here.
Okay.
Yes.
So if it's not registered here with a business registration service, but it's operating in Kenya, then it's not a resident company.
It's considered not a resident company.
And that attracts the significant economic presence tax.
Correct.
At 6% of gross revenues. Let's take a break, Maxwell. You'll tell us more about this. Just get to understand what this means and then how that will impact the environment. So we know because we've sat with the Principal Secretary for Investment, right where you're seated, that the government's agenda is to attract foreign direct investment into the country. Come, set up, operate, run business in Kenya. And there's a target. Is it $10 billion a year?
Yes.
Yeah, something like that. So how are we doing in that? And how would these proposals then impact that kind of ambition? Maxwell Okoh is the CEO of the American Chamber of Commerce, Kenya. How do you call it? Kenya chapter or just Kenya?
Kenya.
Okay.
Or AmCham Kenya.
Yeah, you have to say American Chamber of Commerce. So then eventually we'll say AmCham. The AmCham Kenya, he's the CEO. He's here with us today talking about the relationship between Kenya and USA and the very many American companies that are investing in Kenya, and also the Kenyan companies that are affiliated to American companies that are trading in Kenya and also in the USA. Keep it here. We'll be back.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
It's a cloudy morning in Nairobi, 15 degrees. We'll see highs of 24 with sun peaking at some point and lows of 14. 13 will be the low in a sunny Nakuru at 18, going to highs of 26, and 24 will be the high in a mostly sunny Nyeri at 18. Eldoret is sunny at 17 with highs of 27 and lows of 13. And looking into Mombasa at 26, sunny conditions. Malindi is sunny, going to highs of 31. It's 23 and sunny in Kisumu with highs of 29. And Kakamega at 21 is sunny with highs of 30. We'll see lows of 17. Kampala sunny at 22 with highs of 29, and Dar es Salaam at 25 is sunny this morning. We'll see highs of 32 and lows of 24. It's sunny at 26. I beg your pardon, at 10 in Johannesburg, going to highs of 20 and lows of 2. While Mogadishu at 29 is sunny with highs of 32, and Addis Ababa at 18. Sun is up, highs of 26 and lows of 14. Lagos at 26, sunny with highs of 31, and Kinshasa at 20, sunny conditions through Thursday with highs of 30.
Chilled Spice.
All right, not doing too badly on the Thika Superhighway this morning, but traffic is bumper to bumper past Survey out towards that junction going towards Wangari Maathai or Muranga Road. So before that, we're fine. After that, you're fine as well. Not too crazy on Kiambu Road, but traffic on Wayaki Way continues as you approach the Chiromo turnoff, and traffic coming in from Wangari Maathai has ceased for now. At the roundabouts at Globe Cinema, that is still very busy, and we'll see some traffic on Uhuru Highway getting us out into the city. Previously, the Eastern Bypass was crazy. It still is, just a little bit as you head towards North Airport Road. And that's going to be slow coming off Cabanas, but then you get onto Mombasa Road and you'll be fine. Let's see what happens when we come to the top of the hour. We'll talk on SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
SpiceFM, Malindi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
9 minutes to 9, we continue our conversation with AmCham Kenya CEO Maxwell Okello on business and the business climate and environment in Kenya, looking at it from the perspective of American companies, American investors, and also Kenyan investors with affiliates in the States. You said some of the good things, like what happened last year on the issue of the 30% local shareholding requirement, which the president committed to saying, let's waive this. And we've seen then ICT companies coming in. But the waiver was being sought specifically for ICT companies, right?
Yes.
Or was it for all? It was
that was specific to
Why? Why do ICT companies not want us to own part of shareholding in them? Why? What's the downside of that requirement?
Most of these companies that you're talking about are publicly listed companies in the US. Mm-hmm. And so how do they cede 30% of that to local? As in what would be the structure and the mechanism for doing that? So that's one. Okay. And then two is the valuations. We are talking multi-billion dollar companies. So 30% valuation is no joke, right? So those are some of the barriers or the challenges that a law such as that then was presenting for these companies when it comes to getting into the market.
Yeah. Look on the other side of things, because we're looking at, like we said, an exchange of the same idea. Mm-hmm. Are doors open on the other side, and we have less stringent measures when it comes to Kenyan companies that operate in the United States?
I think that to set up in the United States and get your company going, there's actually very minimal restrictions. Mm-hmm. It should be easy, especially if you go to jurisdictions such as Delaware, where you are able to set up your company and get your business going. As you know, that's the land of free enterprise, and they've made it such that it's easy for you to get into the space where you can transact your business and grow it. So I don't have any specific instances where there are such restrictions that I can put on the table right now, but it is a question that I would like to just take away and delve into a little more and see, could there be certain specific areas where there seems to be similar type of restrictions?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's barriers to entry.
Yeah.
Maxwell, do non-resident American companies pay tax in Kenya?
They do.
What kind of tax?
Corporate tax. You pay corporate tax. Actually, there are several taxes.
At the same rate as Kenyan companies?
Oh, yes.
As even those that are resident here?
Oh, yes.
So there's a corporate income tax that they're paying.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if there's VAT to the transactions and the digital services tax. So what would be the difference, or what was the digital services tax?
So the digital services tax was applying, or is applying,
it's
because
currently
that's
still applying. Yes.
Yeah, it's applying to gross revenues on transactions done on the digital platforms and digital space. So same impact. You're shaving off 1.5% of the gross revenue, right?
But still at the end, once you do your computations, then you come at the point of income and interest, you'll still pay, your profit, you'll still pay the tax on profit.
Correct. Your corporate
tax.
Your corporate tax
will still apply.
Yes, exactly.
So, but the digital services tax is a global concept, isn't it?
It is a global concept. However, it's a concept that does not yet have consensus. If you look at the OECD process, they're trying to find a mechanism that would make it easier to have a unified regime when it comes to taxing the digital space. So there's a two-pillar framework that is being explored. It's not yet been concluded. One of the undertakings that we had from our summit last year was that the government would align itself to the two-pillar framework once that has been concluded. And so currently what we are seeing is individual countries coming up with these digital service taxes at varying levels, which is problematic for business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there some taxes that resident companies pay that non-resident companies don't pay?
I would need to look into that. It is possible. It is possible. I'll need to look into that and just, figure out what that could be.
What would be the justification for introducing the significant economic presence tax on non-resident companies? And then tax it at 6%. What would it be? The justification maybe would be because these others who are resident here are paying X, and you don't get to pay. So we're trying to rope you into a tax contribution. Is there a possible logic justification that could be heading in that direction?
Even with the digital services tax, that was the
logic. That's the logic.
Yeah. That's the logic, yeah. If you're deriving economic benefit from a jurisdiction, then you need to contribute tax. The challenge with that tax head is that it's a bit problematic and it's a deep topic. I must admit I'm not an expert in it, but it is a bit problematic in terms of how do you determine value and then how do you tax that value. What portion of it is actually derived within the country and what portion of it we would say is existing elsewhere. So it does become a bit difficult to administer.
So what contribution then is being made by these companies that are present in Kenya towards the investment portfolio that we've seen the ministry then try to achieve? And even as we look at that, what would be the straw that broke the camel's back proverbially here if it got to the point where guys are saying, okay, you know what, we're not able to operate like this anymore, and then essentially pack up and leave? So how would those two play with each other?
I'll simplify this for you.
Okay.
We are not, as a country, in isolation. We're not existing in isolation. We're actually in competition with other countries for investment. So the logical thing would be to try and make your investment climate as favorable as possible so that you're able to attract as many of these dollars, as many of these companies as possible to set up here and operate. Why is that a good thing for Kenya? Because you're able to spur economic growth, you're able to get in the forex that you're looking for, you're able to create jobs, you're able to generally raise the quality of life of your citizenry. The flip side of that is if you don't make it easy for those companies to thrive, or you don't make it easy for companies to land into your jurisdiction, then in essence, you've lost out on that opportunity. And I think trade and investment is a powerful tool when it comes to driving economic growth and performance for any country, for that matter, not just a developing country such as ours. So that is what I would say to your question.
Okay. What would then bring about a situation whereby there is the realization that obviously this environment that you talk about then has not been created, and there's when we've heard the threats, we're going to move to a neighboring country, we're going to do that, the other thing. What will get to that point whereby it's just too much and we're saying, okay, then perhaps that presence will disappear?
It's a math situation. It's dollars and cents, right? Yeah. If it's costing you more to operate in a jurisdiction than you are actually deriving economic benefit from it, then naturally it becomes a very easy decision because companies exist to create value and to create value for their shareholders as well. So if that is not happening, if the situation is such that it's becoming increasingly difficult for you to operate in that jurisdiction, then it becomes a very simple decision to make. We are not there. We are certainly not there, and I don't think that we want to get there. And so we need to just, it's a little bit of configuration that we need to make so that we can really get the takeoff that we want with respect to foreign direct investment, but also make those companies that are already here feel comfortable enough, thrive enough for them to reinvest and expand their operations. Indeed, they are our biggest advocates when it comes to attracting investment that is not currently here.
So you've seen Kenya's ambassador to the US ambassador to Kenya, one may say, very good man. And when we hosted her here, she was talking about giving her own example and her own experience. When she was heading HP, she would spend just a little bit of time looking at Africa, and then she'd focus on the other business areas where she'd consider growth for her business. But now she's telling American companies, guys, this is the place to go, and the place to land is Kenya. So is that increasing the number of calls that you're receiving at AmCham with American companies and investors seeking to understand more about Kenya? You said you offer market information. Are you getting more inquiries?
Absolutely.
Into Kenya?
Absolutely. And I have to tip my hat to Ambassador Meg Whitman. She's done a phenomenal job of just positioning Kenya as the gateway for American investment into Kenya, into the region, and into Africa. And it is a clear champion and a fantastic partner for us at AmCham. The inquiries are growing. The interest is certainly there. The AmCham Business Summit had well over 150 US companies come in. Why? Because they wanted to hear more. They wanted to explore potential that Kenya has and the region has. When we were in the States, we co-hosted a forum at the U.S. Chamber, a U.S.-Kenya business forum. Again, very well attended. The president was there and gave remarks. The vice president of the U.S. was there. The secretary of commerce, Gina Raimondo, was there as well. All this signals the interest that is there on Kenya as a probable investment destination and the gateway to the region and Africa. And our role is to be that interlocutor that would help accelerate the velocity with which these companies would be able to get into the country.
The 150 companies that came for the 2024 AmCham Business Summit, and they were here, they were seeking to understand and want to feel the environment. What are the main questions that they came with? Or what was the main perception that they came with when they were landing to Kenya? What are the main questions that they were asking when they were in Nairobi?
Yeah, it's always so interesting, the response and the reaction for foreigners who've not been to Kenya, who are coming in with a certain perception that we all know. I mean, you're getting into an African country, you know, you're not really expecting much. Yeah. And then you land here, and the infrastructure that hits you, you know, is comparable, and even in some instances better than some of the infrastructure we see in the West. So you're coming in with that mindset. Then you get in and you realize that, wait a minute, there is something here. And, you know, if I was to echo Meg's own sentiments, when she came and started paying attention to what is happening locally, it opens your eyes to the immense possibilities that are there across all manner of sectors in the country. So we are seeing interest in manufacturing. We're seeing interest in agro-processing. We're seeing interest in technology. Technology will always be a big one, especially given Kenya's own play and positioning as the Silicon Savannah. We're seeing interest in renewable energy. We're seeing interest in health, and health both from a medical diagnostics side as well as the pharmaceutical side of the industry. So the questions that they were asking, the questions that they were asking were, what are the hot sectors to pay attention to? What is the policy and regulatory environment like? What sort of support can we get to enable us set up and get going in the shortest period possible? Market size, trying to understand a little more the nuances around you know, various segments of the market. What can potentially be a proper market entry strategy if you're getting into the health space, for example, and so on and so forth. So that's in essence what you know, we were addressing through various panels and of course in the one-on-one engagements that we had.
What fruit do you see that bearing? I mean, it's obvious that, you know, businesses are here, they're doing the thing, they're getting on. But when we look at long-term benefits for both countries, whether it's the individual businesses that are doing their thing, or then when you look at the macro level now and what it means, what kind of fruit do you think that this could bear potentially in the next 5, 10, mid-term, long-term period?
I think it's prosperity. It's shared prosperity. Let me use that, drop that word in there. Shared prosperity. Business looks for opportunity. Plain and simple. Business will follow opportunity. If we can present the opportunities, and the opportunities are there, we know that for a fact, given the interest and the various studies that have been done. So they are there. The question then is, if you are able to unlock those opportunities for business, what then becomes the benefit for the country, for the citizenry, and so on? And my view on that is simple. I'm going to answer this by asking a question, a rhetorical question actually. What do we want? What do we want as a country?
You have to define very many things there, from who we are and then what we want.
Exactly. But if we were to throw some words around prosperity, economic growth, we want to lift the quality of life of people, of the Wananchi. Then the next question would be, how do you logically do that? And I am submitting that trade and investment is a powerful vehicle that we can use to realize those objectives. Now, if we can get more of that to happen in Kenya, we're able to create the prosperity we are looking for. From an economic growth perspective, we are able to create jobs for our youth. Very important. And through that, then we are able to generally raise the quality of life of our citizenry. That is what, for me, would be the vision 5-10 years from now. Now, it's a process. We are promoting Kenya as a favorable investment destination. Companies have come, there's been roadshows last year, there's the state visit and the various business forums that the president engaged with, and as well the local private sector and the US private sector. But remember, there's a cycle to making investment decisions. Yeah, it's not instant. So we had it today and said tomorrow to go up. No. That typically is a 3-5 year cycle.
So you've got to maintain the same story over those 5 years.
Exactly.
Otherwise, if year 3 you start changing the story, then you start introducing doubt.
Spot on.
Okay. Something else. Kenyan and Kenyan-based businesses accessing the American market. AGOA has been there for many years. It's coming to an end. It's been renewed. We've got the negotiations for the strategic trade and investment protocol coming up. But then, okay, let me start the question from, does AmCham collaborate with Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry? And does also AmCham promote this AGOA as a route? You come and invest maybe in apparel, textile, agro-processing, and you have access not just to the local market, but also to back home in the American market.
Spot on again. We, as I said earlier, are part of the local private sector. We are members of KEPSA. We collaborate with the likes of KNCCI, that you talked about, Kenya Association of Manufacturers. We collaborate with other foreign chambers, the British Chamber, the German Chamber, and so on. So it's an ecosystem that is trying to achieve the same thing when you think about it. And so we do work collaboratively with those, to answer your first question.
Okay.
To your second question, yes, we provide that information. We encourage companies to look at Kenya, and indeed that is happening as we speak, where you have US companies coming up, setting up, for example, in the EPZ zones or the special economic zones for the US market, employing Kenyans, paying taxes here, product heading out to the US market. I'm sure you probably know that Levi, Calvin Klein, and so on actually sourced from Kenya, sold into the US market. So yeah, I think that is possible. It's happening. It's something that we would like to see more of.
But Maxwell, we've barely scratched the surface
in terms of potential.
Over 2 decades of AGOA.
Yes.
Right? And yet we have done what? Less than 10% of what is available as a pipeline for Kenya, for Africa, just for Kenya, into the American market. What's been the challenge, the hindrance? Is it lack of information, lack of awareness, lack of sufficient money to invest? What is it?
It's all those things. It's all those things, Eric. AGOA is not the problem. AGOA is the solution. The problem is us. We need to figure out how we can deepen and take advantage of opportunities such as the ones that AGOA is presenting. There's a lack of awareness, yes. There are entities that are trying to, or programs that are trying to create more awareness and support companies to be AGOA ready. But then, if you are in business, how do you go about your business development? How do you go about expanding markets for yourself? It behooves you to go out and find or get as much information as possible on what potential opportunities exist for you. Having discovered that, there's 6,400 potential market opportunities in terms of product lines under AGOA, then how can I, as a business person, align my strengths and my offering to take advantage of that? Right? I think that responsibility is on business. it is not necessarily on government. There's always this talk about government should do more on this. Government has gone and negotiated and created a platform for you.
I agree, it's on business.
It's on business.
And you guys are the ones who have the information and you support the business. So when you see that they have not taken advantage, we come back to you and say, AmCham, when you say you provide market information and then we're not seeing this being taken up, is it because AmCham is not actually providing sufficient market information to show the potential for AGOA?
Yes and no. Yes and no. Yes, because it is possible that we've not reached out as far as we should. No, because we also need businesses to come out and say, hey, we've heard of this.
We are looking out.
We are looking for information.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if they don't ask the right questions, then you'll not give them the right answers, basically.
Yeah. And remember, it's a partnership, right? It's a partnership here. Okay. And so you can't cover and you can't know each and every business out there that would be looking for opportunities under AGOA.
All right. Well said. Maxwell, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And you'll come again soon for more conversations, right?
All right.
Maxwell Okello is the CEO of AmCham Kenya, the American Chamber of Commerce in Kenya. He's been our guest. Keep it here. It's 9 a.m.
Good morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has announced that it will target chiefs and their assistants who allow unlicensed bars and illegal brew dens to operate in their areas. The administrators will also be subjected to lifestyle audits to uncover any ill-gotten wealth. EACC's announcement comes against the backdrop of a High Court ruling declaring the closure of bars and confiscation of their assets that are illegal. If you are a police officer and get embroiled in domestic squabbles with your spouse, Independent Police Oversight Authority could soon get jurisdiction to come for you if a new regulation is adopted. The new regulations published last month says that the police watchdog will have jurisdiction to investigate police officers' domestic affairs, including conflicts that degenerate into violence with their spouses. In exercising this power, the authority will be free to move on its own motion or act on complaints alleging an officer engaging in the action. This event comes as of late we have received reports of several police officers either shooting themselves or their spouses or family members. Police in Karatina have arrested two women on suspicion of being involved in child trafficking. The duo include the mother of an infant who landed in hot water after she failed to explain the whereabouts of her newborn amid reports that she had sold the baby for 5,000 shillings immediately after giving birth to him. The baby boy is said to have been killed and buried in a shallow grave by the buyer after she learned that the mother had been arrested. Police later arrested the second suspect in Karatina town. And 5 in every 1,000 Kenyans experienced modern slavery in 2021. According to the 2023 Global Slavery Index, it says this translates to about 269,000 people who experienced forced labor or marriage, ranking Kenya 88th globally in terms of prevalence of modern slavery. The report shows the alarming increase of people experiencing modern slavery and trafficking around the world every year. And behind the courts today, former President Mwai Kibaki's estate inheritance dispute is coming up for hearing after an application to have his body exhumed for DNA tests. Those seeking a share of late Kibaki's empire are Jacob Ochola, who claims to be the former president's firstborn son, and a woman codenamed as JNL. The two objectors are demanding that Kibaki's body be exhumed to allow for DNA tests, insisting it is the only way to confirm he was their biological father. Ochola claims no existing male siblings can assist in getting the right DNA to ascertain that he is Kibaki's son. And separately, the inquest into the death of Tekra Muga is to proceed for a hearing. Tekra died on May 2020 at Nairobi Hospital. She allegedly fell down steep stairs at a house in Lamu. Her mother, Tabitha Karanja, testified that she suspected Omar Lali could have had a hand in her daughter's death because she might have refused to continue financing him. She testified that it was Lali's greed that caused her daughter's death. And in case you heard it, some Nairobi city residents reported feeling mild earth tremors yesterday afternoon. Several sites that track earthquakes and tremors around the globe, including Earthquakes Monitor, said a tremor-like had been detected near Nairobi at around 1:25 p.m. A number of users on Twitter say they felt the tremor. Did I just experience the tremor? And many people also sent messages to each other concerning that. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, so we're coming out of traffic hour in no time. It hasn't been too crazy this morning. Just a little bit of it left on the thicker superhighway is what we're looking at now, but just at that underpass area. The Eastern Bypass still continues with some traffic as you're trying to get towards North Airport Road. And then also, as you get towards the Cabanas and then out towards Ombaso Road, we're not having any issues here. In the city, a little bit here and there, but I think it's manageable. Let's see what happens as we come out of it. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Lafiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Canned beef by Kenchik. Choice ni moja?
Taste ni noma.
Kabisa.
Noma is like...
Noma.
If you were to translate noma into English...
It's just be noma.
In English. As in, it's too good a word, there's no translation for it.
Yes.
Ni noma.
Noma.
Can somebody be noma?
Yes.
Can somebody be noma?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Contexts.
Oh, context. Context is important here, isn't it?
Nimnoma.
Okay. Okay, so.
No, it can be nimnoma on many things. Can be huyu mtu nimnoma kwa wizi. Huyu mtu nimnoma anza kuchapa. Huyu mtu nimnoma, you know, because they're so good at what they do. Nimnoma at this thing.
Yeah.
Noma is just noma. Okay? Yes. Sawa. Hiyo ni mambo ya Ken Beef by Kenchik. Choice ni moja, taste ni noma. Next time you're going to the supermarket to local butcher, no, not your local butcher, no, you're going to local retail supermarket and you go to the chiller and you find, you know, the importance of talking about the chiller is because this is what is called cold chain management. It's important to keep your nyama in a chilled temperature throughout at around 6 degrees because that keeps away the bacteria from multiplying and thriving in that meat. If the bacteria thrives, that meat is rotting. Are we together?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Tomorrow is World Food Safety Day. Make sure, please, one of the big issues of food safety is nyama
and handling
and how you handle your meat.
Yeah.
So when you go to a supermarket and you're finding the meat in the chiller and you're like, hii nyama kwa fridge, apana, it's called cold chain. So chiller, go and buy that meat. And you find that meat is well packed. It has a label of Ken Beef by Kenchik. Maybe you're looking for bacon, or you're looking for mince beef, or you're looking for burger patties, or you're looking for sausages, or you're looking for burvos. And you find those ones by Ken Beef. Please buy those.
Buy them. They're actually quite yummy.
Very good. And they've been handled hygienically all the way end to end. They're halal and they are available across the country. Sawa.
Yes, please.
Pia kama wewe uko na deni ya KRA ya 2022, choice ni moja.
Penalty ni noma.
And to take advantage of the tax amnesty, please take advantage of the tax amnesty. Because KRA are saying you owe us tax principal, you owe us interest, you owe us penalties. We can waive the interest and penalties. All right? For tax obligations up to December 31st, 2022. Talk to them before the 30th of June. How do you talk to them, Ndu?
You give them a call on 0711-099-999. Give them a call. Somebody will be on the other end of the line to walk you through, tell you what to do. If you don't need to call somebody, you can actually get onto the website, www.kra.go.ke, go to iTax, and then you go to the tab that talks about debt and enforcement, and under that you will then find the amnesty application, tax amnesty application. That's what you want to do. You want to apply there, follow the steps. By the end of it, you'll be good. I tell you, it's really easy to do.
Today is Thursday. Next week on Thursday, the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Planning will be in Parliament, and he will be giving the budget policy statement before Parliament. Okay? This is what traditionally was the budget day, when he would come, and he has held something secretly for a long time, the tax measures. This has now been watered down by the Constitution. So what used to happen before Constitution of Kenya 2010 is on the day of the budget day, that's the day that the National Treasury CS would come up with that suitcase. In there, he's saying how much he's going to tax the daylights out of you. And he is only going to release it on Parliament that day in the afternoon and say, revenue rate. He starts with expenditure and the focus, right? He says, Mr. Speaker, in the next financial year, in the current financial year, we had said our focus is going to be on infrastructure development, and we are going to invest on this kind of the infrastructure, blah, 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 blah. We're also going to support manufacturing, blah, 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 blah. We're going to support trade and investment, blah, 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 blah. In the next financial year, Mr. Speaker, our focus is going to be on the plan of the Kenya Kwanza administration, which has universal health access. So we want to invest X amount of money to universal health, blah, blah, by paying CHPs, blah, 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 by improving facilities, blah, 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 by buying equipment, blah, blah, by hiring doctors, blah, blah. The other pillar of Kenya Kwanza is, what is the other one? Supporting MSMEs.
Yes.
So we want to put in more money into the Hasra Fund. And we are going to have blah, 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 and we're going to build markets, because when we build markets, we're supporting the SMEs. We are also looking at the county integration industrial parks, because that is going to support the SMEs in value addition at the local level, supporting them through the value chain. It can be finance minister. Mr. Speaker, sir, go on and on and on and on, and give out the 5 core pillars of the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto on what we want to do. Now, Mr. Speaker, I turn to the revenue-raising measures.
How we are going to do this, Mr. Speaker,
How we are going to raise this money, Mr. Speaker, sir. Before 2010, this is when now the Minister for Finance would now start unleashing and saying, for this, Mr. Speaker, we propose to introduce a special economic zone, because you operate in Kenya and a tax.
We will go to the domestic market.
6 market. Well, then we are going to just to cover this the deficit will only be a trillion shillings, and to cover this trillion shilling deficit, we're only going to borrow 300 billion. The rest will like that. Okay. Now, after Constitution of Kenya 2010, things changed, and Parliament is given the power to actually make the budget, and that is why in February the Treasury takes in the budget policy statement to Parliament. For scrutiny. This is where now they come and say, Mr. Speaker, sir, we want our focus to be on these key areas, and we want to put in X amount of money spending on these key areas. Okay?
Yes.
When Parliament says, okay, so in total you want to spend how much? 4.2 trillion shillings. Okay, go ahead.
Go and spend.
The next thing they do is they bring the budget estimates before Parliament. So you see this 3.9 trillion. It's not 4.2 anymore, it's 3.9. This 3.9, this is exactly where the money is going. Oh, education is going to get this much. School feeding, we have removed the school feeding. Gachagua, we have removed this money for buying salmon. We are going to put money into taking our soldiers to Haiti. That's a budget estimates. It's currently before
committees of parliament.
Yes.
Then the revenue raising measures, it's called the finance bill.
Yes.
And it's right now before Parliament for public participation. This is where they're saying, Mr. Speaker, sir, we want to introduce something called a motor vehicle circulation tax.
Yes.
And it will by amending the income tax. And therefore, we are actually calling this motor vehicle circulation tax another income tax. We are also going to introduce the eco tax because we are a global leader and global champion on climate change. And we have to play the part of leading from the front. And that's why we're introducing the eco levy. So that the eco levy, we are taxing everything that is ecologically unhealthy.
Everything that moves in plastic.
We tax it.
We will tax it. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, we are also introducing another levy called what?
It's the imposition of VAT on forex transactions.
Ah, yes.
That means as anybody in this republic sends money, we will have a 10 to 20% increase on the cost of money transfer charges. Sir, please. So if it used to cost you 27 shillings, it will now cost you 29.5 shillings. If it used to cost you 100 shillings, it will now cost you 110 to 120 shillings to send. You're not send money yet, so
to send
the money that you are sending. If you were sending above 20,000 when it costs you some 197 shillings, it will now cost you over 200 shillings to send that money. Are we together? Yes, please.
Way.
Now, the cost of a loaf of bread will increase by 9 shillings, depending on the kind of loaf of bread that you used to buy before. A liter of cooking oil will increase by 16.81 shillings, and the price of a kilogram of power detergent will go up by 30 shillings to 230.
Where?
Shall we continue?
Continue, please.
If you are going to buy the cooking oil, by virtue of the fact that these people who are packaging have to, so now this same oil, the oil itself has increased by 16 shillings according to the finance bill.
Because we've increased excise from 25 to 30%.
Yes, please. So
we have also increased the
oil itself is going to increase by 16 shillings.
Okay.
Apart from that, so you cannot carry oil in your hand.
You also furious.
Or you go to the shop and say, Niko na juala, I want to buy oil. No, please. It comes in a what?
Container.
It comes in a container.
Plastic.
Now, the eco tax is applied to that container.
The plastic container.
The plastic container.
Very good.
And that price will increase not by 1, not by 2, not even by 10 or 20, by 150 shillings.
On the container.
Yeah.
The container itself.
You have not bought the oil. You have not fried an onion. The container. So let's assume that you used to buy oil for 300 shillings. You will now buy for 316 shillings, and we will add on top of that 150 shillings. So you will now buy this oil for a grand total of 466 shillings. Thank you very much. Got it?
Where?
That's just
mambo ni mbaya, wacha nikakujua pombe.
So
Pombe wameongeza?
You wait before we get to pombe. Here you were thinking that if you get the tax here, you will dodge it somewhere else. It can never be you, my friend, because everywhere they'll find you. The oil, the container. As you're entering your car to drive to the supermarket to buy that oil and to even buy the container, they'll tax you on top. So you can't escape, my friend.
You pay for it.
Yes, now.
They've introduced the tax also on rubber.
Yeah.
Tire ya gari ni rubber. Are we together?
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So you're paying for the motor vehicle circulation tax. You're going at and buying tires. Tax. There's a new tax.
Yeah.
Extra tax
it's not
on
just
the
car,
rubber.
even for it to literally move,
Yes.
move like this, for the wheels to literally turn.
Eco tax. Shokom sobas come packed in cartons.
Carton.
Hiyo carton iko na eco levy. So shokom soba inaongezeka sababu ya hiyo. You're taking your car for service. So you're buying synthetic oil. Synthetic oil is in plastic. Hiyo plastic iko na eco levy imepanda. Are we together so far?
So far. Can I continue and add another one? Do you remember here the other day, not the other day, maybe a couple of months ago, we had the PS in the Ministry of Kiniko, where he talked about locally assembled phones, where it's now retailing for 6,000. Affordable phone, smartphone,
ICT and the digital economy.
Digital economy, the digital highway has opened. We're going to drive down the digital highway, seeing the world with our 2 eyes, embracing with our full chest. They said, ha ha, we see you. Now you know what we are going to do? we are going to add some small VAT on locally assembled mobile phones, which are currently zero rated. The point was that they were zero rated
So we
to encourage Kenyans to buy. But they said, this thing is not sweeting us. It's not sweeting our stomach. We want to charge you. So 16% on it.
The damn things have not even hit the market properly.
That phone that they said that you would buy for 8,000 or 7,000 is now 1,000 shillings more expensive. The one that you said you would buy for 8,999 will now be 10,439 shillings. You know, take your pick. Where are you? Are you driving on the road? Are you walking, buying a loaf of bread with your milk as you're trying to now sort out yourself? My friend, you will pay for it, because even the milk, like I said, you cannot carry it in your hand. It is in a what? It is in a packet. You will pay for it. If you're of the kind that wants to fly, you fly from point A to point B.
Go to Kisumu flight.
Thank you very much. You wake up one Friday morning and you decide, it's Kilifi, I want to go. Let me go to Kilifi and just breathe. Or let me go to Lamu and just breathe a different air. They said, okay, we're coming for you. They said, it's okay, very good. However, this winged, what did she call? What did the good engineer?
Fixed wing.
Fixed wing. The equipment will be significantly more expensive because there's a levy that they're going to impose on it for the purchase of equipment. And come on, these guys are not using the same plane that they've been using in 1983. Yep. No, you want to be, along, so they have to buy the equipment. But sorry, the person who is, and spare parts, the person who is flying is the one who is going to pay. So you wake up in the morning, you have a cup of tea, you pay for the milk, you're going to fry an egg, the oil, you pay for it, and you have bread, you pay 10 shillings on top for it. Then you stand up and enter your car. You say you're going to where?
JKIA.
Let's say you didn't even drive that day. If you decide that you want to take an Uber, Uber
to go to
JKIA
or Wilson,
they said that the Uber will be more expensive because
Uber has
to pay another 6% on top of. So you, my friend, are the one who is going to pay. So you've done what? You've woken up in the morning. That's the only thing that didn't tax you for. You wake up in the morning, you drink tea, you eat bread, you have an egg. You take the Uber to this airport where you have bought a ticket to Lamu to enjoy the weekend breeze. They said even that one, we are going to charge you. You have not reached Lamu yet. So when you reach, you will now come down. You decide you're going to have a bottle of water. Even that one, they've taxed you because the packaging of the thing is even now more expensive.
Take another taxi. This time
take
you take
another
a Bolt.
Taxi. They have taxed you again. This time you say, let me use Bolt. Enter. They've taxed you again. Okay, you say, so now let me just relax. I will take because Lamu, you don't have a choice. Once you come down, you have to take a boat to your next destination. The thing is not a sailing boat. That one we wait until later when you see the sunset on the Dao. But for now, you're on the motorized boat where they're charging you fuel because you're going to get from point A to point B. All in a day's work, my good friend. You're taxed from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed. And you know what? These are not pre-existing taxes.
These are new taxes. There's a new tax
new taxes
throughout your day.
Now, that thing that you were talking about, whereby you're asking, so how are we going to raise that money? That explained in the finance bill. This is the money that they're looking for, and that is how it's going to impact you. Mon ami, c'est très difficile.
Oui. Alafu, that income of yours that you've been looking at and you're thinking,
we've not even talked about how you're...
starting July, the new Social Health Act comes into play. Are you okay? 2.75 of your gross income is going to be taxed for health.
Okay.
This is from July 1st. Okay? So your
we
salary,
come back from Lamu now?
Your salary, you've gone at your spending, because end month is coming and I'm going to get an extra salary. That salary that you receive at the end of the month will be less because it has been taxed. There's a new levy that is now for housing. It's extra. It's a new percentage. It kicks in July. My friend, all these things. If you look at the finance bill and where it's seeking to raise the revenues, it has almost everybody is complaining. And everybody is complaining on serious issues. Manufacturers of everything, including diapers and sanitary pads, are complaining. Right? And they're saying, look, 6 years ago, Kenya did not have locally manufactured diapers. 6 years ago. And then, because of the government interventions, we were now able to come and invest. People have put in multi-billion shilling factories in Kenya. There are 6 manufacturers of diapers and sanitary pads in Kenya. They are now supplying locally. They are about to saturate the local market. They are supplying into the region, into the East African community. Some have already been approached by European retailers. Your diapers are cheaper than those that we have in Europe. However, your diapers are more expensive than those that are coming from China. Can you match what is coming from China? Just as they were about to say, yes, government ndio imekuja.
It's that guy who is behind the door with his eyebrows just looking at you.
At you're about to strike that deal. At you export it to Europe. At you'll be cheaper than China. No, forget it. No. Diapers, more expensive. Boxes, cartons, more expensive. Everything is more expensive. Even having your money in your bank is more expensive. Removing it is more expensive.
Sending it to the guy
Sending it
more
is expensive.
For goodness sake.
Everything is expensive. Kila kitu. Now, if you look at all that and where everybody is complaining, you ask yourself...
There's a problem, Eric. It's not possible that every possible industry represented has an issue with this tax. It is not that should we or should we not pay tax. We are saying, and everybody's saying, that the punitive nature in which it's coming about is a problem, and that it is not a complaint that you don't want to give Caesar what is due to Caesar, but essentially what you're doing is that you're throttling the economy. That what you are going to see, if your intent was to collect money, what you're going to see is that lethargy, number one, is going to kick in. The inability by consumers to consume, because what the expectation with tax is that if you have a product for which you have to apply a tax, that means the end user is going to have to pay more for it. There is going to be an inability by the consumer whom you're so heavily dependent on to actually consume. So it becomes counterproductive because you are not able then to have a large mass of people consuming in order for you to collect this money that you think you want to collect. So it becomes counterintuitive to impose such punitive taxes on your people. It doesn't make sense that from the rising in the morning and everything that you have to do until the end of the day, the business that you're doing is paying tax. The business that you've woken up to do, whether it is working, whether it is schooling, whatever it is, pay, even in your leisure, whereby one would think that you would get a moment to breathe. If you're in a golf club tomorrow, they want to tax that as well. Remember? If you're in any kind of sports club where some kind of leisure is happening, they want to tax you as well. And not just you in the country, even people who come up from outside, they want to tax them as well. So what are we talking about here? Is it making the environment more conducive for its people to thrive? Or is it actually throttling every single process that they could use for that same desired end? And then it doesn't happen. Because what are we seeing now? Auctioneers gave a story. They are feeling sorry for people. Auctioneers gave a story yesterday. They are actually feeling sorry for people because they said, we've never seen anything like this before. People's businesses being auctioned, people's homes being auctioned, people's property being auctioned because they cannot pay. And in that same arena, a government who is tasked with the responsibility of making the environment more conducive is the one that is bringing in these measures that, if anything, is going to kill an economy. That is what we're talking about here. It is not romance. It's not trying to say, oh, please love me. No, we are saying here that it is very difficult. With these proposals that are being made, the opposite of what you're trying to do is what is going to happen. Make no mistake, it is not doomsday conspiracy. It is not saying the government is bad. We are saying 1 + 1 = 2. And in this case, you increase the taxes in the manner in which you're increasing them. It is not going to be long. Things are going to fall apart.
It's counterproductive.
They already are.
Already, if you go back 18 years, 18 years ago is 2006. Okay? In the 90s, coming into the 2000s, and into 2002 to 2006, we had high interest rates. The government of Mwai Kibaki comes in. What was it called? It was not called Jubilee, it was called Rainbow. The Rainbow government comes in 2002, 2003 they start, and by 2006, that's the last time we saw very high rate of non-performing loans in Kenya. April this year, we have gone back to the figures that we last saw in 2006 in terms of non-performing loans. Data released by the Central Bank of Kenya on Wednesday showed that the gross non-performing loans as a ratio of total advanced loans rose to 16.1% by April, up from 15.5% in February. This is the highest non-performing loans ratio since May 2006, and it's set to force banks to make huge provisions for bad debts and usher in another season of painful auctions. You just talked about auctions. The increasing bad loans are spread out in sectors including household, real estate and trade, as the sharper borrowing costs prove disruptive across the entire spectrum of the economy. Here's what the CBK is saying. Increase in non-performing loans were noted in agriculture, in real estate, in tourism, in restaurants and hotels, in trade and buildings and construction sectors. Already this is it. And this is as a result of last year's measures. Now we have come into these proposed measures of this year. And everybody, including their grandmother's cat, is telling you, my God, this thing is going to kill us.
Yeah, we cannot.
The question is, those who drafted this finance bill, are they sitting somewhere and are they hearing what Kenyans are saying? I'm not talking about even the members of parliament. Those ones, just leave them alone for a bit.
No.
Those who authored the finance bill, those in the National Treasury, those in the President's Economic Advisory Council, David D. and the others, because they had input into this, are they sitting back? Are they hearing what the people are saying? Those in cabinet, because cabinet approved this finance bill, are they hearing what the people are saying? Their chairman of the cabinet, the president of the Republic of Kenya, is he hearing what the people are saying? That this time round, unlike many other years before, when, for example, William Ruto first became an MP in 1997, when people understanding of budget was just, okay, so we don't know, we're just waiting for the finance minister to come with fingers crossed and he's going to unleash the bombshell in parliament and we don't know. This time, there's greater awareness and there's greater feedback. And William Ruto is now in the driver's seat. Is he hearing what the people are saying from across the sector, from the individual taxpayer to manufacturers and employers? Is the president hearing the people? We want to ask you to give your message to the president. Dear Mr. President, speak to him. Don't speak to Kimani. Kimani is the chair of the Finance Committee of Parliament. He is a consumer of this bill, like the rest of us, at present. Those who authored this bill took it to the president, and the president said, I like it. I like it. It's going to give us money, huh? I like it. Take it to Parliament. It's been taken to Parliament. We are hearing it. Speak to the president. He's the author of the bill. He's the owner of the finance bill. Let's talk to the guy. Let's talk to the owner directly after this break. 0719-012-600. Dear Mr. President, what's your message to the president on the finance bill? Speak to him. He'll definitely hear you.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Okay, so coming out of traffic hour hasn't been too crazy of a Thursday morning. Let's just see what's left here and there. As you're coming off Landis Road and then going towards Kamkunji at the roundabout, I think that's where we'll see most of it. There's some traffic still left on Kiambu Road coming through towards Muthaiga Square. Apart from that, I think we're done and dusted, and we've done it in record time this morning. Let's talk through it through the rest of the morning. Just in case anything does pop up, let us know. SpiceFM KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay. For the next 27 minutes, let's open the phone lines 0719-012-600. Also on our social media platforms, we are live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can post your comment there. We'll read it. If you're on Facebook, we'll also read it. Also, you can send us your comments on X. Tag us at SpiceFM KE 0719-012-600. Dear Mr. President, we are speaking to the President because he's the owner of the finance bill. Okay? Speaking to our members of Parliament, as we have established so far, if the members of Parliament have whatever views they have, but the top dons, and this is the leader of Kenya Kwanza, and does not see what the issue is, the likelihood of this thing being amended is zero. So speak to the person who can influence amendments to the finance bill. And that is?
Mr. President.
William Samoei Ruto, Mr. President.
Mr. President, were you aware that the council was making these, and once you saw that these were the recommendations that were made in order to collect, were you aware that this is what they said? I remember you standing on a podium a few weeks ago and said, we will tax if that is what is needed to bring us out of this issue, and I stand by my word, nothing will happen. Are you seeing what will happen in this country? Are you seeing what will happen when people actually have to pay more that they already do not have? And this is in the wake of other things that were already piled upon them that they could not manage. We're looking at a situation where things are going to get significantly worse over the next 6 months if these things are adopted, and Kenyans will suffer. Kenyans will suffer. It is not a maybe, it is not an if, it is going to happen.
You know, I look at it and I see there's a communication problem here, okay? Because those that have put in these proposals, and like I said the other time, they should be the ones who are coming out to explain themselves. Maybe there is some legitimate reason and justification for introducing certain tax measures. Maybe there's justification for it. But just come out and explain yourself. Maybe that's there. When you hear from the president, the short one is, just looking at the tax to GDP ratio, and we are at 14%. Other countries are at plus 20%. So we've got to get to plus 20% even as. It sounds like, it's a 1+1 thing. That his only reasoning is, I'm looking at it, so ini percent ngapi? Ongezeni kitafuteni mahali mpaka ifike 20. And the president needs to come out and not go on it that way, that I need you to tax you more so that we can be at par with the others.
Well, that's fine.
He needs to come and explain better and say, you know what, we need money for this, we need money for the other, we need money for here, we need money for here. We've got a program that is running for the next 5 years, and incrementally we're going to spend money here, 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 here. So when you raise this money this time, this is where it's going. And this is why we are proposing to get this money in this area, on this area, in this area. This one shall be ring-fenced. This one shall not. This one, we are calling it income. Okay, maybe it's a mistake. Maybe we shall call it something else. Explain it better, but don't just be arrogantly coming out to say, I'm looking at percentages.
I don't even have a problem with him making a comparison between Kenya and other countries that you want to achieve this number. I don't. However, it cannot just be the subject. You must include the predicate of this.
Yeah.
That those other countries that you want to look like when it comes to taxes, please, what are they doing on the back end? Okay? When they say that they're taxing, they'll be shouting everywhere saying the taxes are 50%, 60% of their income because of all this 1, 2, 3. That's very good. But guess what? Your children will go to school free of charge until they're 18 years old. They will finish secondary school and they did not pay they paid nothing. You can eat off the roads in these same countries because they've been so good. If there is a problem overnight, by the time you wake up in the morning, that road has been fixed. There is never a time where power will blink like this and it will go off. It doesn't happen. You open your tap, water runs out of it. You have in your house dustbins, organic, paper. Somebody comes, picks it up, they take it to a recycling plant, it's done. Wastewater is taken, it's channeled through the pipes in the city, it's put back in your tap, you can drink it. That's what we are talking about. So when you come and tell your people that we want to be at par with other countries that are taxing 60%, very good. However, what's happening in the back end? Are you actually able to take that money that you've taxed people for and produce the results that these same countries that you're comparing yourself to are actually doing it? That somebody will wake up in the morning and I have a headache and I will take a card and I will walk to hospital and I will not remove 10 shillings 10 shillings to be treated. That I will walk in and there will be a doctor who will see me, a nurse who will attend to me, a clinician who will handle my labs, etc., etc., and I do not even have to ask. Will that also happen? If it will not happen, you have no business
about it.
comparing yourself to others who tax at 50%. Stop it.
Forget about it. And that's the thing. Come and speak to the people. You can say that that's the journey we are taking, all right? So when we say we are going into health, this is what we are doing, and this is where the money will go, and it will prudently be used. In fact, look, in this financial year that's just coming to an end, this is what we've done with the money. We cannot say what we've done with a 3.6 trillion shilling budget that is coming to an end next month. We cannot. You cannot say that buying a new Lexus is what is justifiable. You can't. You can't say that when, for example, the East African Packaging Industries guy who closed his factory and he had to fire 80 people, that is the prudent raising of taxes last year. That's what it has done. You can't say that by raising the tax on importation of coal that used to make clinker and all those things that are now going to cement manufacturing, that will raise the cost of a bag of cement from 800, 600 to 1,200, 1,400, that this is going to have a positive impact on the economy. If people lose jobs, you can't say that this is how we are heading forward. You cannot justify with that.
You can't.
So what other justification do you have? Because you probably have one.
Give me something else, man.
Come and speak to Kenyans and say, this is why we are doing what we are doing. I do not want to hear, what's the name? Kimani who?
Who? Which one?
MP Molo.
Kuria.
I do not want to see Kuria Kimani explaining the finance bill. He is not the author of the finance bill. It's not his bill. He is only processing that bill by taking the views of the public and taking the views of the executive and guiding his committee in considering the bill and taking a report to Parliament. He is not the author. He should not be explaining or justifying any provision of this bill. I do not want to see KRA official going to TV and trying to say that motor vehicle circulation is trying to nab those that don't pay income tax, and those that pay income tax who are caught up in it. Well, just collateral damage. Just collateral.
Nothing to do about that.
We cannot have that. We should be having the people who are owners of this bill explaining it, and they start at the very top. If President William Ruto can actually explain and say, this is why I'm introducing motor vehicle circulation tax, and stand there next to David Ndii, and on this other side you have Professor Jogona Dongo, economists, and say, this is what they told me. They told me motor vehicle circulation is because the car is going around, the wheel is going around, we are circulating. So there's a circulation.
So there's a tax.
Jogona come and explain further. Jogona come and explain, Professor, this is it, this is it, this is it, this is it, and this is why we are calling it an income tax and not any other thing. If we have that, then we listen, and then we tell them no, and they should hear the no. Dear Mr. President, William Indiani, good morning.
Morning to you, Eric. How are you?
Very well.
Salamia how wenzako ndu na
leo ni city, leo ni ndu peke yake, city hayupo.
Leo ni ndu city. Good morning to you. I'm just driving up, so
all right.
Just catch up with you.
My dear Mr. President.
Dear Mr. President, we really want to support your government, but we cannot support your government if every night we go to pray, we are cursing you. And every morning instead of praying for a beautiful day, we are still cursing you. We can't work with those energies. Kindly save us.
Thank you very much, William. Thank you. That's a good one. Let's cross over to Hanover in Germany. Martin, good morning.
Good morning, Eric and Du.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. I just wanted to contribute and say that indeed the taxes are very punitive, especially for the charges that are charged in the banks, and now even the mobile charges to be very difficult to do businesses. So he really needs to consider that.
Speak to him directly. Say, dear Mr. President, and give him a message.
Yeah, Mr. President, please consider your people. The small-scale people are really suffering back at home here. Please do something concerning it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Also on social media, David is saying, dear Mr. President,
Okay, so I mean, it's quite some here. David says, Dear Mr. President, deal with extravagant spending, wastage and corruption in your government. Focus more on service delivery for who put you in office. Dear Mr. President, says Freddie, with more taxation proposals, are you thinking of the future of businesses and people relying on these businesses? Businesses are closing down due to high taxes.
James?
Dear Mr. President, says Samuel, please lift the Bible. Nikiweka Biblia Chini and other short stories are now killing us. Lift the Bible. At least things might change. Please lift it. James Mukabana, dear Mr. President, Rice, all these concerns raised means that something is amiss. Should you want to make history, let it not be at the expense of the common wananchi in whose situation you used to be elected. My goodness, quite some. Dear Mr. President, you need prayers.
That's it.
Why don't we hold the bull by the horn and address the IMF too? We are not doing this anymore.
Message to the president. He is the ultimate owner of the finance bill. It has come from the executive. He's the head of the executive. It was drafted presumably in the National Treasury and also with input from his economic advisors. It was taken to cabinet. It was discussed in cabinet. It was approved. The chair of the cabinet is the head of the executive, is the president of the Republic of Kenya. So let's speak directly to the owner of the finance bill. Mr. President, what do you want to tell the president on the finance bill? Everybody that we've heard is complaining this, the other, this, the other. There are measures here that are not just going to be painful. They are going to kill us.
They're going to be impossible. They're going to be impossible.
And so why do we have them?
Why do we have them?
Let's go to Bomet. Aaron in Bomet, good morning.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Speak to the president. Dear Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, go ahead.
Huh?
Endelea. Huyu ashiki. Hajashikanisha line wire vizuri kwa show yetu. 0719-012-600, that's the number to call. That's 0719-012-600. Check also on what people are saying on Facebook as we continue. It's just, there's a lot of feedback that's being given, and that's technical feedback that's being given to the Finance and Planning Committee of the National Assembly. We are hearing various sectors going there. We are hearing various professionals going there. SMEs have gone. SMEs and startups are saying this thing is going to kill the startup sector in Kenya. So it's not, the finance bill measures and proposals are not supportive of the startup culture in Kenya, which is, remember, it has surpassed even Nigeria and South Africa in terms of the amount of venture capital that's coming into this country, the amount of startups that are coming up here, people who are just thinking ideas, thinking solutions, coming up with solutions and seeking investment into those solutions. This is going to cripple that. The big industries are saying these ones are killing us. Beer manufacturers, this one is killing us. If we come into motor vehicle owners, motor vehicle owners, this is killing us. Ride-hailing apps that are not domiciled here, Uber, Bolt, they're saying we just have to shut down. We can't operate in Kenya anymore because this is going to kill us. Everybody is going to die. Jeffrey in Mombasa.
Yes, Ndu and the rest there.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Dear Mr. President, speak.
I want to tell Mr. President that a nation is built by citizens and by tax collections. But you cannot collect the tax from dying citizens because of what the measures you have imposed, particularly on taxes. I'm talking on in terms of the motor vehicle taxes. Now you are going to kill insurance companies, you are going to kill transport companies, you are going to kill, when you kill the industry in that manner, then where will you get the taxes from? Because these people use the same means to move and create economy and make money, and the money is in circulation. But when they cannot move, then ni kama kupika sima kwa watu ambao wamekufa tayari.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeffrey. Brian in Kisumu, how are you?
Thank you. How are you?
Very well, thanks. Dear Mr. President, go.
Yes, my message to the President is this. Dear Mr. President, the bottom-up economy that you campaigned on, the platform that which you campaigned on, today it is the hustler unananyanyasa na tunakuangalia. And you talk with so much bravado, you and your team, so much arrogance. But you have to know that common mwananchi, that there is no one who was born a master of arrogance. We only choose to behave when there is an option of misbehaving. Na pole pole tutapatana mbele. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. What are they saying on Facebook?
Well, I mean, we don't have much there. It's just more or less the same thing. I'm just looking at what else folks have said on socials this morning. Dear Mr. President, Prados are not the only cars that can move, especially in Nairobi. Even the Voxy will cut down on fuel expenditure by half. Stop buying Prados to use in the city and then fly out. Dear Mr. President, kazi hiyo kamba kabisa because we are here pretending we didn't know what bottom-up meant. Okay. Dear Mr. President, unshackle yourself from being a puppet of the West. You're killing this country, and you and your lot cannot account for the Eurobond while we citizens pay dearly.
Okay.
Dear Mr. President, some saw you in 2007, but gave you a chance. Just know what is awaiting your end. Dear Mr. President, cut down on your motorcade. It's interesting.
Matthew is in Nakuru. Matthew, good morning.
Good morning.
Speak to the President.
Dear Mr. President, when you came in, you told us that you're not going to borrow any amount of money. What happened? Right now, last week during the prayer breakfast, we saw high-end vehicles. So you guys are languishing in riches while others are languishing in poverty. Dear Mr. President, Kenyans ni wale wale. You come up with tax measures, we come up with ways of evading paying those taxes. Let us see who is going to lose. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. 0719-012-600. We are sending a message to the head of government, President William Ruto. Dear Mr. President, he is the ultimate person responsible for the finance bill. It was drafted by the National Treasury, of course with input from his Council of Economic Advisors, but it was approved by the President. By the time it's going to Parliament for our input, it has come from the executive. So let's not even give our message to Kuria Kimani, the chairman of the Finance Committee, and his team. Let's speak to the author of the finance bill. Let's hear from Ali in Mombasa. Good morning.
Good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen.
Very good. How are you,
I'm
Ali?
giving my message to our President, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto. I've never seen any country that is growing with high taxation and low bill of development. Our recurrent expenditure is above 60%, so we cannot grow. The more we tax our people, the more we create our local expenditure, that is the bills of administration and whatever. So this country cannot grow with high taxation and high bill of administrative costs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Evans in Nairobi.
Good morning, Eric and Shindu.
Good morning, Evans.
I want to speak to the President.
Go ahead.
Dear Mr. President, you traveled to the US. The flight costed you billions of shillings. Yet our kids do not even have any money to be in school. Our fellows are languishing in the cold after their houses were demolished. Now you want to charge us what will not benefit us. It's not easy down here. It's so painful on us. But we trust that things will be good. Please don't do these taxes on us. We don't want them. And they are not good for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Evans. Amos.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning to you. It's your turn. Speak to the President.
Mine will be different. Dear Mr. President, you gave us the promise. We never took time to question how they are going to be financed. Now that we are learning, please press on. Let us learn so that next time when we are making the choices, we do it in the very comprehensive way. Because as Kenyans, we always fail to criticize, to ask questions, and then later we start crying. We saw them coming, we talked, nobody ever listened. So do what we are doing, let Kenyans learn. Next time we'll be objective in terms of making decisions.
All right, Amos. Thank you very much. Muhammad in Mwakijembe.
Assalamu alaikum wangwana.
Alaikum salam.
Mmeamkaje huko?
Salama kabisa, sijui wewe.
Mimi sina ujumbe, mimi nashukuru ujumbe kwa rais sina, lakini in a nutshell kitumbua kimeingia mchanga.
Explain that to me. What is kitumbua?
I purposely called to explain because the other day you were discussing about kitumbua. Kitumbua is a type of nini mahamuri or mandazi. Lakini the ingredient is not wheat flour, it is rice flour with other ingredients like what we call yeast and what have you. And then it is deep fried and it gets fluffy. And then the outer skin becomes colorish in brown, light brown color when it's well done.
Masa.
Okay, whatever you call it. Yeah. And then the problem with this type of delicacy, the outside skin is very oily, number one. Number two, the outside skin is not smooth. It is sort of with some porous here and there. So the moment it drops in the sun, the sun particles will penetrate in most part of that delicacy.
Yes.
So even if you kukuta it or whatever, you shake it to remove the sand particles, you are wasting your time. Even if you wash it, mchanga inaingia every part of it. Even if you wash it, you do whatever you do, mchanga utakula. So when I say kitumbua kimeingia mchanga, whatever we discuss, we converse, we tell the president, hiyo mchanga itakuwa imepatikana hapo kwa hiyo kitumbua. Hiyo finance bill. That is my contribution.
Thank you very much.
So I hope you got something to do with kitumbua. When you come to Mombasa, try this delicacy. It's in fact it's sweet. It's mixed with sugar also.
Thank you. Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you.
Asante. Goro Diambo.
Good morning, Eric and Du.
Good morning.
Now, then I switch on to say good morning, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
My message to you directly as President is that you deserve to be in jail. You need to resign from being President of this Honorable Republic and book your space in jail. If that can't happen, then I think it is a good reason for why you see many countries in Africa being overthrown for bad governance. Number two, stop going to church and pretend before God that you are a God-fearing person. You belong to jail. Thank you so much, indeed, Mr. President.
Why,
but
God?
It's obvious. It is obvious. It's obvious. You can see it everywhere.
Where?
You can't compare. You can't rush Kenya to the Chinese economy that Chinese are taxing up to so much. Nigeria is taxing. They are producing something. What is Kenya producing? You are taxing out of production. You don't tax out of the vacuum. South Africa is making production. Nigeria is making production. We are even seeing films here from Nigeria, my brother. What are we producing to justify that taxation? What are you taxing out of? You must make production before you produce, before you tax. Any learned fool should see that sense. You can't tax from a vacuum. Eric and Ndu, you cannot make taxation out of a vacuum. You must produce. What is Kenya producing? Even when he imports, what do you call it, fertilizer here, he goes and mixes it with sand, and then what he gives to the farmers is something else. And nobody can be punished for that. Is that what you call production?
No.
So where is the jailable offense here?
Yeah, because you don't seem to be having what we call humanitarian heart of administration. You are leading people. You are leading God's creatures. You are not leading, even if you are leading stones. Stone is a God's creature. Yes.
Thank you,
and
God.
if you are misleading them knowingly, and you are living lavishly, then you are telling them to live within the means. Unless he defines the means, what is the means?
God.
That's unfair.
Message
That's
sent.
unfair.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry for my message could sound harsh, but I'm sorry. He's not fair. He's not doing well for the country.
Yes,
Thank you so very much indeed, Mr. President. Live long to see how you will govern, how Kenya will look like later.
Thank you very much for all the messages and the calls. Asante sana. Well, the message is going home.
Yeah.
And we are yet to see what the Finance and Planning Committee of the National Assembly will do with all the feedback it's receiving. It's overwhelming, to say the least.
It's quite a lot.
Everybody's coming to say, look. And they're giving their justifications. And they're producing memoranda and saying, this is the effect.
Revisit.
This is what is going to happen. Revisit. If they revisit, then what? So you can't raise the money that you are targeting to raise. So should we just be cutting back the budget? Should we be saying, no, reduce the budget from 3.9 trillion shillings, let's come back to a 2-point-something trillion shilling budget? And what does that mean? Can we raise enough money to pay the debt?
Exactly. Those are the questions that have to come up.
Where?
Something has to be done.
These conversations must continue. Thank you for tuning in to the Situation Room today. Everybody on SpiceFM, across KTN, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Radio Garden. We are also getting on to TikTok and X. Asante sana. Have a lovely day. We'll be back tomorrow, Friday. It's 10 a.m.